we have a story time of a Minecraft kid who actually thought that creepers were real and embarrasses himself in front of everyone in his class during a trip to the dinosaur museum. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. Sit back, relax, leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing, and let's get right into it. The subscriber sent in today's story. We're going to call her Jade, and I got that name from the comment section, so if you want me to use your name, your friend's name, or really any name you want, leave it in a comment down below, and I'll do my best to try and use as many of those names as possible. Anyways, right, so this story happened to Jade when she was in 2nd grade, and she's a bit older now, so this was a little while back, but back when Jade was in 2nd grade, her class was doing this unit on dinosaurs and kind of dinosaurs, prehistoric era, everything like around that, fossils, all that good stuff. And they've been studying it for a while, and kind of the big thing for any 2nd grader at that school, and it was kind of known that like for the 2nd grade, their big thing that they would do is they would spend like about a month covering dinosaurs and the kind of the prehistoric age, and then at the end of their long kind of study, whatever, and I mean, 2nd grade, it's only so rigorous, but like at the end of the day, right, they spend a lot of time learning about dinosaurs, and kind of the big payoff for this big kind of month-long study is that they take a full day-long trip to a really big dinosaur museum that's somewhat near them. It's still like 45-minute bus ride away, but it's a pretty fun day, and it's kind of known for everyone in the school as like the big fun day that all the 2nd graders have. And at this point, right, it's about a week away, and Jade's getting pretty excited because it's a pretty big deal. And I'm going to introduce another character into this story. He is the Minecraft kid. There's nothing more I need to say besides he's in Jade's class, and things get very interesting very quickly. And anyways, right, a week passes and it's finally the day. It's the big day. They all kind of like get there kind of early that morning. Their school normally starts around 8, but for that day, they're asked to get there at 7, which a lot of the parents are a little, they wake up, drive up their kids, and they're all kind of cranky because they have to get up at 7 in the morning, which is a little inhumane. I'll be real. They don't have to get up at 7 in the morning. They have to get up at like 6 to drive their kids there at 7. But all the kids, when they get there, are like kind of like all wide-eyed and excited because, hey, man, it's the big day. It's the dinosaur museum day. And so anyways, right, Jade, she goes in, and Jade has kind of a friend group of 2 other people, so it's kind of like a 3-person friend group, and they all walk onto the bus at the same time. And the thing is, right, the bus seats are by 2s, so they realize that, all right, so one of us is going to have to sit next to like the other 2. And they make it to about the middle row, and all the other seats behind them are filled, and they decide, you know what, let's just sit on this row. So the row has like 2 different sides, and the 2 of Jade's other friends take the 2 seats on the other side. So Jade is going to take the aisle seat on the other side of the bus, right? And there's a kid sitting in the window seat, and this kid happens to be, you guessed it, the Minecraft kid. Anyways, right, they sit down, and Jade's 2 friends kind of space off / go to sleep because they're still a little bit tired. As excited they are, they're kind of tired, and the thing is still like 30-45 minutes away, so they kind of go to sleep. But Jade is kind of awake, she still has enough adrenaline in her to keep her up, and she's kind of excited to go to the dinosaur museum. So she turns to the person next to her, which is the Minecraft kid, who, she doesn't know that well, but, they're friendly enough because they are in the same class. And she kind of just says something to Minecraft kid along the lines of, hey, like, are you excited? The Minecraft kid said, yeah, this is a pretty big deal. I'm really hyped. I've, been thinking about it all night. I couldn't even really fall asleep that well last night. And she was like, yeah, honestly, same. This is going to be a really, like, exciting and fun day. And the Minecraft kid says, I'm so excited to go see, like, to try and find my favorite dinosaur of that period. And, the Jade is like, oh, that's really cool. And the Minecraft kid said, oh, before I tell you mine, what's yours? And I don't know, Jade says something, I don't know, pterodactyl or something. And then Jade's like, oh, what's your favorite Minecraft? What's your favorite Minecraft? No, we're getting to that in a second. What's your favorite dinosaur of the time period? And the Minecraft kid said, oh, I'm a big fan of the creeper. And she's like, oh, I haven't heard of that one. And the thing is, like, Jade had no idea what Minecraft was at this time, and it's only in, like, retrospective, looking back on this event, that she thought it was so funny what actually happened. But yeah, the Minecraft kid said, oh, yeah, it's like a green, it's a little small, it's, like, on all 4s. And he doesn't say the part about how it explodes, right? He decides to leave that detail out, and Jade's like, oh, that's really cool. I don't remember us having a unit on it, but I must have just, like, not paid attention. We covered a lot of material. And yeah, the Minecraft kid's like, yeah, I really hope I'll find an exhibit, and if not, I'll ask around. And so anyways, right, they eventually get there, and they start, like, single file off the bus. So the teacher basically calls them all together, and they kind of get all huddled up in a group, and the teacher says, hey guys, like, we're going to be walking around. Us teachers will be kind of walking around to make sure you guys don't get in trouble. But you more or less have free reign of whatever you want to do today. Go ahead, explore any exhibits you want to. Go try out anything. You must stay within the dinosaur museum itself. You can't leave it. Stay on the first 3 levels. If you have any problems, like just come to the front desk, which is right over here, and points to where the front desk is on the first floor and says, and they'll be able to contact us as we've given them our numbers and the school's number. So yeah, anyways, guys, that's all we really wanted to say. Go off and have some fun. And the teacher says, oh, wait, one more thing. At 12, we'll be having lunch, so please return to the first floor for that. And then afterwards, for about 30 minutes, we're going to have a guided tour. And then for the next hour after that, you're free to go about and like look at whatever, sculptures like dinosaur footprints or museum, whatever you want to look at, feel free to do that afterwards. So anyways, right, Jade and her friends, they go off and they start looking around. And they're going around and they're looking at all the things that they learned and they're recognizing, and they go up and they see like real life dinosaur footprints, and then they walk around this kind of recreation of like the prehistoric era. So there's these like fake bushes and a big fake dinosaur statue, and it's actually pretty cool. And eventually they meet up with the Minecraft kid, who seems to be like frantically looking around. Okay, maybe not frantically, but is intensely kind of like pacing around trying to find something. And they kind of look at him, and Jade is like, hey, is everything okay? He's like, I can't find the creeper. Like, I can't find anything about the creeper. I've been looking for sculptures. I've been looking for any kind of information. I just can't seem to find anything. At this point, right, Jade had no idea that this was, in fact, not a dinosaur, but instead was a Minecraft character that the Minecraft kid assumed was real. And since there aren't any creepers around today, he assumed that since, spiders in Minecraft are real, skeletons are technically real, the creeper must have been real too and just, went extinct. So he was really looking forward to finding, the creeper exhibit at this dinosaur museum. And he keeps looking around, and Jade's like, hey man, maybe ask someone at the front desk. So eventually, right, lunch came around, and Jade and her friends, went down to the first floor, and they got all together, and the teacher said, hey, there's a lunch, you can stand in line for it, and then go sit down at the table. So they go in line, they get their lunch, and then they sit down at the table. The Minecraft kid, after like 10 minutes, he gets there kind of late, because apparently he's busy trying to find the creeper, exhibit part of the museum, and the teacher's like, Jade is too far away to audibly hear what the teacher says, but the teacher's like, hey, the teacher looked a little upset that the Minecraft kid was so late, and then the teacher points to the food and then points to the tables, and the Minecraft kid gets some food and then sits down at the table, and Jade's like, oh, were you successful in finding the creeper exhibit? Remember, at this point, Jade has no idea what Minecraft is. So she legitimately thinks like the creeper is some more kind of, I don't know, niche, obscure dinosaur from back in the day, and she just is like, oh, did you find the exhibit for your favorite dinosaur? Because she was able to find an exhibit with her favorite dinosaur, so she just honestly felt bad. The Minecraft kid so far has been able to say that creepers are dinosaurs to, Jade, because she doesn't know any better, but the Minecraft kid is about to ask the tour guide and be like really persistent about it in front of literally everyone, and it's pretty funny, but I don't want to interrupt the flow of the video, so I'm going to do the little comment thing now. Comment Ben. I'll heart your comment if you do it. And also, feel free to comment Ben multiple times. Like, you can go down and comment it like 5 different times. I guess there's a more decent shot I'll actually see your comment and heart it. Either way, if you don't get a heart, don't feel bad. I'm going to heart as many as I possibly can, just to say thank you guys so much for watching. And also, if you haven't already done so, join the Discord, link in the description. You can submit stories there and also talk to me occasionally. Anyways, right, back to the story. So lunch is over, and now it's the mandatory 30-minute tour guide. And so the tour guide's like, all right, guys, so we're going to go around and check out all the exhibits and just go over things. And if you guys ever have any questions, just let me know. And before he's even able to finish that sentence, bro, the Minecraft kid, his hand shoots up, and the tour guide's like, yeah, what's up? And the Minecraft kid said, when are we going to see the creeper exhibit? And everyone kind of just looks at him. And the thing is, right, while Jade didn't know what a creeper was, most of the guys and a lot of the girls in his class actually did know what a creeper was. Even if they didn't play Minecraft that much, they were at least aware. And some people started to laugh. And the Minecraft kid looks at him kind of with this look of why are you laughing at me? I simply asked the question, where's the creeper exhibit? Which as if no one's gonna laugh at that a little bit, but whatever, right? And the tour guide, Jade had no idea what a creeper was, so kind of gave him this look of what are you talking about? And he's like, I don't understand what you mean. And he was like, well, I'm just wondering when, because like we're seeing the pterodactyl, we're seeing dinosaur footprints. When are we going to see the creeper exhibit? And once again, the tour guide kind of just looks at him, and the Minecraft kid kind of gives him this look. He's like, oh, this museum sucks. It doesn't even have a creeper exhibit. At this point, right, the teacher's like, Minecraft kid, obviously says his name. We'll just give him a name, right? We'll just call him Minecraft kid. The teacher was like, Minecraft kid, don't say that. And for some reason, right, the Minecraft kid must have been super excited to see the creeper exhibit at the dinosaur museum and was just really upset and disappointed that they didn't have one, that he kind of went on this tirade and he kind of stuck with it. And he was like, well, what do you mean stop? I mean, this is a museum, right? This is supposed to be the biggest, the greatest dinosaur museum of all time, and they don't even have a creeper exhibit. This place sucks. And at this point, it's like super, super awkward because the tour guide's just kind of standing there like, dude, I have no idea what you're talking about. Everyone in the class is kind of looking at him like he's crazy because they know what a creeper is, bro. They know what a creeper is, and they also don't. You know what else they know? They know that a creeper isn't real. And the Minecraft kid looks at the tour guide straight on and is like, how could you work at such a fraudulent facility? This place is disgraceful. I bet the dinosaurs would be ashamed if they knew that you were doing this, which is just kind of funny, but hey man, it's a second grader. They're bound to say stuff like that. And at this point, right, the teacher's like super embarrassed, and the teacher goes up and like looks at the Minecraft kid and is like, stop. I don't know what you're doing, but stop it. And, she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about this. And at this point, right, another kid in the class speaks up, and he looks directly at the Minecraft kid, and he's like, dude, what are you talking about? You know that creepers are fictional, right? And the Minecraft kid's like, does fictional mean, like, prehistoric era only? And then the kid's like, no, dude, fictional means fake. Like, they're not real. And the Minecraft kid's like, That's ridiculous, man. Spiders are real. Skeletons are real. Why wouldn't creepers be real? They're probably just extinct. You don't know what you're talking about. And at this point, right, the teacher looks at the other kid and is like, well, what do you mean fake? Is it from a video game? It looks at the Minecraft kid and is like, are you making a scene about a video game? At this point, right, Jade is starting to put two and two together that no, creepers are not actually real, as everyone has no idea what they are. And in fact, probably from a video game, and yes, they are. At this point, right, the Minecraft kid is starting to realize that his logic of, if I don't see them now, they must be prehistoric and extinct, maybe doesn't hold up, because he's like, oh yeah, the Ender Dragon probably isn't real, and the Wither probably isn't real. And he's like, uh-oh. And he just realizes, right, that he just made a huge scene, called the tour guide like a fraud and a phony just because his museum didn't have a creeper exhibit. And the Minecraft kid looks right up at the teacher, who's just eyeing him like, dude, you've kind of messed this up. You've embarrassed us all. And all of a sudden, right, the Minecraft kid feels this like hand on the collar of his shirt, and he looks up, and the teacher has grabbed his shirt and starts pulling him away. And Jade is watching the whole thing happen, and the Minecraft kid basically gets pulled away from making a scene, and the tour guide is like, all right, well, let's continue on. So our first exhibit, ... whatever goes on to explain it. And essentially, right, the Minecraft kid got told that he's got to sit down because of like the big scene he made, and that he's not grounded. I don't know what to say. He's not like in suspension or anything, but he basically has to sit there at lunch for the rest of the duration of the field trip because he made a scene over Minecraft creepers not being in a dinosaur museum, which is, if you're going to make a scene, man, at least have it be something real. And for like the rest of that school year, whenever the teacher would be like, all right, now we're going to learn about whatever, and she'd be like, any questions? Some like kid in the class would always raise their hand and be like, yo, when are we going to learn about the creepers? And then everyone would like start laughing. So unfortunately, right, the Minecraft kid kind of became the laughing stock for the rest of second grade. But he learned a pretty valuable lesson, and that is creepers are not real. I kind of feel like you wouldn't have to learn that lesson, but apparently you do. Subscribe if you haven't already. Now go watch another video. There's some on screen, some that are recommended. Go watch one. I'll be very happy by. Today we have a story time of a Minecraft kid who was caught... Normally, I'd cut that out, but I don't know. I just played that back. It sounded pretty funny. Anyways, today we have a story time of a Minecraft kid who was caught cheating in his kind of school-sponsored Bed Wars tournament after telling everyone that he was the greatest. And the ending was pretty hilarious, so you want to stick around, sit back, relax, leave a like in the video. to claim your free nothing, as always. And yeah, let's get right into it. Subscribers sent in today's story. We're going to call him Robert. I got that name from the comment section. You know the deal. Leave a comment with a name you'd like me to use. It could be your name, your dog's name, your arch enemy's name. I really don't care. I'll be using your names in the comment section. Anyways, right, so this guy named Robert, at his school, kind of like the kids came together and they decided that they wanted a kind of a grade-wide Bed Wars tournament for anyone who wanted to join in. For those who aren't aware, Bed Wars is a minigame, a Minecraft minigame you can play on Hypixel. I've had a lot of fun memories on there. I've also gotten really mad when people come in and like infinite god bridge 10,000 clicks per second over to my base, knock me back away from 20 feet, and then destroy my bed within 0.1 microseconds. Like, that's a little frustrating. I remember playing in the days when it wasn't so sweaty, and I enjoyed it a little bit more. However, I've had great memories on Bed Wars, and I think it's actually a pretty cool idea that his grade came together and organized a Bed Wars tournament. So it wasn't necessarily like the idea of the school to put this thing together. However, it was like kind of organized a little bit by the parents, kind of very generally, but it was up to the kids to really organize it. And it was like the school kind of gave it the A-OK, like the thumbs up, because it was kind of contacting everyone in the class, and to do so, I think there were some school regulations, but they gave it the A-OK. But anyways, all you need to know is that there was a Bed Wars tournament, and anyone in the class could be eligible. So not everyone played, obviously, because not everyone played Bed Wars, but on one of the days, they announced the tournament, and they said within a couple days, we want everyone to submit, if they want to play or not. You were also able to submit people you wanted to be teamed with, but you could also submit to yourself as like a single pool. You don't have to go in with anyone, and they would just assign you team members from other people who didn't really have anyone else they wanted to be teams with. And by the end of the 2 or 3 day period, there were 4 teams of 4 people. So 16 people from the grades signed up for the Bed Wars tournament. And I think the prize was like and all you can eat, because there's like a local Sunday place, and there was like the prize was like you can get whatever you want. Obviously one ice cream. You can't get there like infinitely every single day, but you could get one, whatever, all you can eat ice cream prize if you win the Bed Wars tournament. I think runner up was just like, you got nothing. It was just like win it. It was all or nothing basically. And so Robert, the subscriber, he signed up with his friend James, and I'm giving him a name because he actually is kind of relevant in the story, and I will be referring to Robert's teammate and his close friend James as James from here on out. However, there was also another kid who we're going to call the Minecraft kid. And he's called the Minecraft kid because, I don't know, he's called the Minecraft kid. He plays Minecraft or something. But he was also kind of a jerk. He was kind of like that kid who no one really liked, and he didn't have any friends. And it wasn't because, for unfortunate reasons, like, oh, he looked funny and all the kids were mean, so they refused to be friends with him. No, he didn't have friends because he basically alienated himself from everyone because he was like cruel to everyone for no good reason. And he was also very boastful and full of himself. And he definitely displayed a lot of that the week before the Bed Wars tournament itself. And the Minecraft kid, for the entire week up until the actual day of the tournament, was talking about how he was significantly better than everyone and how he was going to absolutely wreck everyone and completely destroy everyone and how they shouldn't even bother. They shouldn't even bother because he was just so much better. And so, yeah, Robert and James, who didn't already like this kid in the beginning, kind of made it their goal to make sure to beat this kid. Make sure this kid couldn't beat them. So Robert, James, and the other 2 teammates, who I'm not going to give a name to because they weren't super important, I'm just going to call them Teammate A and Teammate B in case I need to say any in case I need to reference them specifically. But the 4 of them, during that entire week after they finished their homework, they trained. They were on the grind, man. They were grinding to get that number 1 spot because they wanted that all you can eat, ice cream, whatever coupon thing, but that wasn't even that important to them. Honestly, that was just that was the cherry on top. That was a little extra. The real prize they wanted was to beat the Minecraft kid because he was a big jerk, and he also was super full of himself, and he was super confident he was going to win, and he made it so publicly. Of course, that's the best prize in the world, man. Anyways, Robert, James, and player A and B, they trained pretty extensively that entire week when they were done with homework. And finally, by the end of the week, it was the day of the tournament. So the tournament was kind of like bracket style, or it wasn't like that much of a bracket. It was just like the 4 teams, 2 of them play each other, and then like the winners play for the final round. And anyways, right, Robert and James and their team did not play against the Minecraft Kids team in the first round, and if they both won their next positionings, they were going to then play it. They were going to play each other in the final round. So anyways, in the first round, Robert and James, they got in their team. They kind of win pretty easily. They were just simply better. There's nothing really I need to say here. But also the Minecraft Kid and his team won as well. And while, Robert and James weren't able to see it, some of his classmates who didn't opt into play opted in to watch. And they, one guy texted, Robert and was like, yo, bro, Minecraft Kid is pretty good. His team swept the other team. And, Robert and James were feeling pretty good coming off of their win, but, kind of that good feeling dissipated as soon as they heard that, the other team also got swept, and that it wasn't just them clearing house and destroying everything. And they were a little bit concerned, to be honest. Real quick, comment Bed Wars if you made it this far into the video. I just want to see how many people made it this far, and I do appreciate it. Commented a couple times. I wasn't able to get to heart a bunch of comments yesterday, but I will do my best today to try and heart some comments to say Bed Wars. So comment Bed Wars down below. Maybe even comment a couple times if you'd like. But anyways, right, it's finally here. It's the final, the finale, the moment that Robert James and player A and B have been training for this entire week. An opportunity to beat the Minecraft Kid at his own game, supposedly. So they enter into the match, and right away, right, they have this kind of bed defense strategy where 3 of them go in, 1 stays back. They're rushing middle, 1 rushes diamonds to get some upgrades, 1 is putting down the bed defenses. Everything is going to plan. And then, James, not Robert, the subscriber, but James, he's in middle trying to get some emeralds, maybe even put some pressure on the other team. He encounters the Minecraft Kid. And Robert and James, they're not in the same place because they're not all at the same house or whatever. Some kids went over to some of the kids' houses to watch, but Robert and James were connected via Discord. And Robert heard James go, whoa, hold up now, wait. And all of a sudden, right, Robert's just like, James, is everything okay? Are you good? And, he looks in chat, and sure enough, James was slain by the Minecraft Kid or whatever. And James is like, that guy hit me from so far away. I don't know how he did it. And at this point, right, Robert and James weren't really suspecting anything hacking related, as you will see in the title, right? But he's like, oh, wow, maybe he's just really good at player versus player, battles, PvP stuff. So, and then Robert was like, all right, James, and player A and B, because they were also in the VC. He's like, all right, so we got to really step it up when it comes to not, PvP. We got to be really good with strategy and breaking beds effectively and efficiently. We should probably also get stacked up, because apparently he is really good at PvP, and we just need to have a winning chance. We need Prot 4 Diamond or whatever. Diamond's a little excessive. I played a little bit. I know it's not necessary. But anyways, right, the game keeps on going on. And finally, right, Robert's bridging to one of the islands. And at that island, sure enough, is not James, but the Minecraft Kid. And then Robert, is like, all right, let me fight this guy. And he doesn't even get 1 hit on this kid. And it's not super clear. Robert at this point is suspicious. But there's also a chance that he really just is as good as he claimed to be. Maybe all the boasting and bragging wasn't for nothing. Maybe he just genuinely was that good. Because some people are just so good at, Minecraft, you can't even touch them, man. I don't play that much, and, when I do, and I go on, a practice server, I just queue into something. I'm like, oh, let me just get someone at least my level, maybe a little bit better. I get, someone whose username is, 1 character long, and they, combo me, 50 times in a row. I'm like, yeah, this game is just not fun. Ranked, skill-based matchmaking is just not a thing, I guess. Okay. Either way, right, Robert and James were like, all right, even if this kid is cheating, he's not getting caught for it, and he isn't cheating so blatantly that we think he's going to get, banned mid-game. So we really got to, sit down, strategize, and figure out a way just to survive this. Even if we tie, we just can't lose to this guy. All right, I can already hear all you guys typing away on your overly expensive keyboards about how you can't tie in Bed Wars, and it goes to, beds broken and then dragons or whatever. You know what I mean, okay, right? They're trying to at least make this game close at a minimum. But anyways, they're losing ground. The other team is getting upgrades. They're putting pressure on them. The Minecraft kid was like really close to breaking the bed. It was just like knocked into the void, by James or whoever, right? It was getting really close. And right, they were just talking to each other like, we got to do something like kind of quick because we're going to run out of. And as soon as that happened, right, they all happened to be at mid aggressively trying to get emeralds. Bed broken. They see that message pop up in front of them. If you don't know, in Bed Wars, you respawn infinitely. You can respawn as many times as you want, but only if your bed is still there. Once the opposing team breaks the bed, then it's GG. It's unlucky. Like, you will not respawn. You're still alive. But once you die, you will not respawn. So it's a really big deal, and you try not to have your bed broken. And they're like, that's it, man. Like, we need to get this bed. We just can't win without getting the bed. I mean, obviously. And Robert and James were talking to each other, and that's when they notice in chat, final kill, player A, and the Discord's like, God damn it. Like, and they're like, dude, what happened? He's like, I don't know. He just snuck up behind me and just knocked me to the void. And then soon enough, a little bit later, player B knocked into the void as well. And they're just like, oh my God, like, what are we going to do? And this is when Robert and James say, you know what? This isn't like the best way to win. But we're going to wait till bed breaks. Because if you don't know, after a certain amount of time, the beds will just automatically break, even the ones that haven't been broken yet. And it was about 2 minutes till bed break. He said, you know what? We're not going to risk it. Let's just wait it out. So they decide to camp at mid, collecting a bunch of emeralds and kind of very carefully running back to one of the islands to buy upgrades and stuff and all that good stuff. So yeah, sure enough, Robert and James, as the only two left on the team versus a team of 4 with a bed, they bought everything in the book. They bought, punch bow, fireball, ender pearls, speed pots, invisibility pots. Like, they even had a knockback stick. They bought everything they possibly could, camped at middle, got geared up as much as possible, because at that point, right, it was close enough to bed break that it just seemed worth it to try and hold it out like that. So anyways, right, the time ticked down, and then finally, all beds broken. It's a 2v4. They're stacked up as possible. They pre-gap, they're in the middle, and they're just waiting. And sure enough, right, Minecraft Kid and his 3 other teammates, they start walking to the center. And as they're walking to the center, or moving to the center, running, whatever, sprinting, however you want to say it, James is able to get an expert bow shot on one of the players and hits him as he's jumping over, which just sends his knockback just enough to send him into the void. 3v2. So now that odds are looking a little bit better, but still the Minecraft Kid is yet to be defeated in PvP. He has died once or twice, but this is either he falls into the void on his own accord, or he was knocked into the void when he wasn't fighting back. So they did kind of realize that there was a massive skill gap between the Minecraft Kid and the other 3 people that were playing with him, because they were randomly assigned. The Minecraft Kid did not come in with a teammate, because no one in the class really liked him that much and wanted to play with him. So it was just the other random people who didn't sign up with someone. Or maybe 2 of the players signed up together and just got assigned in the group of 4. But anyways, right, Robert says, I'll take on those 2. James, you take on him. So that kind of evened out as they assumed that 2 versus 1, 2 of the other players would equal at least one of the Minecraft Kid. So they went into fight, and Robert was, it was kind of close, and he almost died, and he healed up afterwards, but he was able to defeat the 2 other people. But he looks over as James is just getting comboed, hit again and again and again, and he's fireballing and pearling out of there. But the Minecraft Kid, he realized beds were going to break, so he got some pearls. He got some gapples as well. He stocked up, not as much as those 2, but just enough to keep catching up to James, not letting him fully heal. And sure enough, final kill, James. And it was a 1v1. And at this point, Robert was like, there's no way I beat him. Yeah, my stuff is better, but he's just so significantly better than me. And Robert, looks at the Minecraft Kid, who now turns to him, is finishing up, healing up, and looks directly at him and starts kind of pacing towards him or sprinting towards him or whatever. And, Robert, he kind of fires some bow shots to kind of knock him back a little bit. He pre-gaps again as his other absorption hearts were removed or whatever. But finally, man, he can't do anything else. He has to fight. And this is when he kind of felt the sketchy hit. So he went in for a hit. He didn't make it. The Minecraft Kid hit him. He flew back at least 5 or 6 blocks. And as he's flying back, he gets hit again and flies back another 5 or 6 blocks. And yes, you could say it's ping or connection to the server, as Hypixel is not known for its great ping. But this just felt sketchy to him. So he had 2 ender pearls, and he took one, and he pearled out of there, and he pearled to an island. And the Minecraft kid apparently didn't have any pearls, but was starting to bridge over. And at this point, right, Robert was just like, oh my God, like, this is it. This is it for me. And then all of a sudden, he sees the Minecraft kid, bridging over, and the Minecraft kid pops. He explodes, and his inventory spills everywhere, and then the victory screen appears on screen. And he's like, did he log out? Did he quit? And then he checked, and he's like, what just happened? And everyone else on the Discord TeamSpeak were like, oh my God, like, Watchdog just got him. If you don't know, Watchdog is Hypixel's anti-cheat. The Minecraft kid was cheating, and he just got banned. Subscribe if you haven't already, and now go watch another video. There's some in the recommended, some on screen. Go watch one. I'll be very happy. Goodbye. Today we got a story time of a Minecraft kid who thinks the back rooms are actually real and it's a serious danger and threat to everyone. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. Sit back, relax, leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing, and let's get right into it. So we're going to call a subscriber who sent in today's story, we're going to call him Will. I got that name from the comment section down below, so if you want me to use a name, either your name, your friend's name, your dog's name, basically any name that you like, if you want me to use it in a future video, just leave it down below in the comment section, and I'll definitely make sure to go through and find and look at those. And I mean, I use those names in the comments of all the names of all the videos. But anyways, right, so Will told me the story about, this was actually quite recent. So if you don't know, a pretty viral video came out, or set of videos, where someone made a very realistic, like movie type short film about the back rooms, which if you don't know, it's like an old internet legend that, like, if you're not really careful or if you're really unlucky, you can quote unquote no clip, which is like in a video game where you like clip through a wall. You can no clip out of reality into the back rooms, which is like these repeating, really dark, musky kind of, this kind of like dark, musky, repeating set of office-type rooms where these like monsters live. It was a really great short film that was based on that kind of like internet mystery or whatever. And when it came out, right, it was like they made it really realistic. I mean, obviously, it's as realistic as a fantasy horror, like a house-made film would be, correct? But at the same time, they did a really good job. However, recently, the subscriber Will said that his friend, who was definitely a Minecraft kid, saw the videos and believed that they were 100% real. This is kind of giving me vibes of like, I don't know, Salem Witch Trials, or not Salem Witch Trials, what's it called? The movie called The Blair Witch Project, where when they released it back in 1999, before the internet was as like normalized as it is now, they made it like as if it was a found footage and that like what was going on was actually real, and people kind of did believe it. This is kind of a similar situation, so let's just jump right into it. Anyways, right, so pretty recently, Will was just in class, and he was just sitting there one day, and he was friends with this kid who played like a little bit too much Minecraft, and that's definitely not a bad thing, as it's the background footage for this video. But Will was just sitting in class one day, and the kid that he always played Bed Wars with, he came in panting and sweating, and just looked at Will with these like wide eyes, and he just like looked back. He's like, man, are you good? And the Minecraft kid's like, Will, we need to talk at recess today. And Will was like genuinely concerned. Like Will was genuinely worried for like what is going on. Like, why is this kid freaking out? Why does he feel as if like he needs to talk to me at recess? Like, did something really bad happen? Because it looks like something really bad happened from the looks of this. Like, it's kind of freaking him out, to be honest. Anyways, right after class, it's recess, so Will goes and finds the Minecraft kid and is like, hey man, like, what's wrong? And he's like, I can't talk to you here about this. We need to go over there. And he points to kind of a more deserted corner of like the playground. And Will's like, all right, like, cool, I guess. I'm a little worried because I don't know what's going on and it just kind of feels a little weird, but all right, cool enough, I guess. And the kid's like, all right, bro, come over here. And he said, like, Will's like really kind of freaking out. He feels kind of weird about the whole thing. And the Minecraft kid says, man, I gotta warn you about something. What do you know about the back rooms? And at this point, right, Will had no idea what the back rooms were. Because, Will's on the internet. I mean, he watches this channel. But I guess he just didn't get recommended that video. And he also hasn't been on the internet long enough to kind of know about the internet horror. Because it's like a pretty popular internet horror story. Like, I knew about the Backrooms way before that short film came out, just because I've been on the internet for a while and I'm pretty immersed with the culture on here, if I do say so myself. And he's like, Will, you gotta be really careful. And he's like, dude, what are you talking to me? He's like, whatever you do, don't no clip out of reality. And Will kind of looked at him because, like, at the end of the day, right, Will wasn't totally sure what the Backrooms were before, he actually did a little research after this whole story goes down and before he sent this in to me. But he knew what, like, clipping, like, no clipping out of the framework of a video game was. And he was like, dude, what are you even talking about? He's like, bro, you gotta trust me on this. If you no clip out of reality, you'll be sent to the back rooms, and it's just repeating Office Space forever, and there's no escape, man. And if you're not careful, they're creatures. They're creatures that roam the back rooms. And at this point, right, Will's like, all right, bro, like, I think I've had enough of this conversation. I've heard what I've needed to hear. Like, okay, buddy. So anyways, right, the Minecraft kid's like, all right, man, just know I warned you. And, they go back to class, or, the bell rings and they go back to class. And Will's just kind of weirded out by all this. And he's looking over at the Minecraft kid. And the Minecraft kid is not even focusing in class. He's, like, too paranoidly looking around, afraid that he's, like, about to no clip out of reality, whatever that's even supposed to mean. And the teacher's, like, kind of going on and on about something. He's like, and then, the square root of x plus, or whatever, right? He's just kind of going on. And then all of a sudden, right, Will, the subscriber, sees the Minecraft kid out of the corner of his eye, get out of his seat, and run up towards the front of the classroom. And at this point, Will was like, oh my god, what's going on? And the Minecraft kid tackles the teacher just out of nowhere. And the teacher was kind of like holding on to something, and whatever was in his hand flew out of his hand. And like the whole class kind of was like kind of gasped a little bit and then started like talking. And the Minecraft kid was like, oh my god, that was a close one. I just saved your life. And the teacher kind of pushed him off of him. He's like, what are you doing? What are you thinking? And the Minecraft kid was to the teacher, was like, I swear, you were about to no clip, you were about to go to the back rooms. And then just like pure silence afterwards. And the teacher's like, what? And the Minecraft kid's like, I can't explain it, but I just saved your life. Imagine going up to someone saying, I can't explain it, but I just saved your life, so you should be nice to me. Like, you should feel good. Like, imagine I just go up to someone, like, touch their shoulder and be like, you don't understand it, man, but I just saved your life. No, you don't understand it. Like, you don't even try and understand, man. You just don't understand. But I just saved your life. So if I were you, I would just be, like, super nice to me, maybe even give me, like, $25 or whatever money's in your pocket, just because I saved your life, which I think is worth so much more than whatever's in your pocket, man. So it would just be the least you could do, Like, I'm not about to go up and do that to someone. And the teacher's just, like, looks at him, kind of with this, like, weird look and just, like, silence for a little bit. And he's like, I don't know what just happened. I really don't know what just happened. But just go sit back down, and I don't want to hear any more of this backroom nonsense. Like, just sit down. Like, I'm not going to send you the principals. I don't know why, but this is just too weird. Sit back down. Don't say anything. Don't speak up in class. And the Minecraft kid, like, gets up, and he walks back. And Will, the subscriber, is looking at him like, dude, what, are you insane? Are you good? And the Minecraft kid looks over at him and kind of leans over because he's sitting right next to him. He's like, bro, the teacher was about to no clip out of reality. He doesn't understand it, but I just saved his life. And at this point, Will just looks at him with this kind of just this blank look of just astonishment. Just, is this my friend? Is my friend okay? By the way, if you made it this far into the video, comment backrooms down below. That's one word, back room, and then with a S, plural, backroom or backrooms, actually. Comment either of them. I just like to see how many people made it this far into the video. But anyways, right, the end of class happens, and the teacher looks at the Minecraft kid and basically signals him to come up and talk to him. But Will has no idea what the teacher said to the Minecraft kid, because by that time, Will had already left the classroom. He's like, all right, well, most likely, and most likely the teacher was like, are you okay? Like, what happened in there? And also, you can't do that, like, in general. Like, you just can't do that. And anyways, right, so Will, the subscriber, he's walking down the hallway, and he's walking to the next class. And probably by this time, the Minecraft kid gets out of the class. Like, Will doesn't know that at the time, but using this logic and what is about to happen, which is quite interesting, he just puts two and two together, and the Minecraft kid probably came out about that time. And in front of him, right, is a pretty long hallway, and a door opens to a classroom. And it's a classroom that has the same, like, kind of like, these kind of like dingy yellow lights, like kind of lights that are kind of like office type fluorescent type lights, similar to what it looks like in the back rooms. And sure enough, right, the walls are kind of like, the wallpaper is kind of this yellow. It was bad interior design, but obviously, right, it wasn't actually the back rooms. It was like just really like crappy design. It just looked ugly. But anyways, right, Will the subscriber was kind of walking towards the end of the room, or the end of the hall, and he wasn't going into that room specifically, but he did see, like, the room exist. Like, he just did notice it. And he didn't think much of it until he heard a screaming coming from behind him. And sure enough, right, it was the Minecraft kid who also saw this. And it's weird because, like, this classroom wasn't new. If anything, it was probably pretty old. But I guess the Minecraft kid was just on high alert to look for, like, no clips into the back room. And the second he saw a classroom that had kind of, like, you know, bad, crappy wallpaper and, like, bad, crappy lighting, he was like, oh my God, man, it's the back rooms. The portal's opened up. Just like something crazy like that. And like he sees kids walking to it because they have a class there, man. It's this normal classroom, bro. And they have a classroom there. I mean, they have a class. Of course they're going to walk there. And he starts shouting, no, don't go in there. It's a trap. And at this point, right, all the kids in the hallway start to turn around and just kind of look at, you know, what's going on. And by the way, the subscriber who sent this in, he's in 3rd grade. So this is not like a 10th grader thinking the back rooms are actually real. Just a clarification. But anyways, he's like, no, don't go back there. It's a trap. It's the back rooms. They've opened up. And at this point, right, people are just kind of looking around like, huh? Like, bro, what are you saying? And like, there's a couple people that are about to walk in the classroom who aren't turning around looking at this kid screaming. And the Minecraft kid's like, no, and sprints down the hallway. And Will, the subscriber, says he's never seen this kid run this fast. Like, has never probably seen anyone run this fast. He just, like, lightning bolt sprints down the hallway, jumps in front of the people, and kind of knocks them over. Almost like he's tackling them in football. It's crazy. He's like, I just saved your life. Why didn't you listen to me? Don't go into that room. It's a trap. And the teacher who's teaching a class in that room walks out after hearing all this commotion and is like, guys, what's going on? What is going on out here? At this point, right, there's this guy who has watched the whole thing go down and listened to everything. And the Minecraft kid is like talking to, you know, the kids on the ground who he's tackled. He's like, I just saved you from entering the back rooms. You almost clipped out of reality. And at this point, like this kid, right, that I just mentioned a second ago is like, back rooms? No clipped out of reality. And he looks at the Minecraft and he's like, you don't think the back rooms are actually real, right? And the Minecraft kid's like, bro, I thought the same thing as you. I thought it was just like funny business. But then I saw these videos on the internet that are real live footage from 1980s. There was a film student and he recorded the whole thing and someone just got the footage and uploaded it. And the kid looked at him like, bro. He's like, dude, you do realize, right, that was like a film project that was made recently. And at this point, the Minecraft kid's like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, you could literally see the footage. It had a time, it had a date on it. It was 1980s, right? It was a film. It was like it was a college kids. They're doing a film project. And then one of them clipped into the back room. And then the camera was sent all the way. And they started like listening to what he was saying. He's like, the camera was sent all the way out of the back rooms, falling. And then the other kid who like was just looking at him like, okay. He's starting to get it. He's starting to get it. And at this point, the Minecraft kid is starting to have a realization that not everything on the internet is real life. And he just looks at the people on the ground like, go about your day, guys. And he gets up. The Minecraft kid's like, all right, my bad. Go about your day. Minecraft kid gets up, starts walking away. And the teacher's like, hold it 1 second. Did you just tackle these kids? And the kids on the ground were like, I mean, I guess. Like, he kind of did. And at this point, the teacher's like, explain yourself. And at this point, the Minecraft kid's like, well, And then the Minecraft kid was really struggling to talk because he realized he had to explain to the teacher that he was trying to save these students from entering a new dimension full of evil beasts, which was her classroom, apparently. Subscribe! Now go watch another video. There's some on screen, some that are recommended. Go watch one, I'll be very happy. Goodbye. Today we got a story time of a Minecraft kid who has a crazy mental breakdown, freak out, whatever you want to call it, in the middle of class over a debate of if Fortnite or Minecraft is better. Yeah, dude, I'm not even kidding. Leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing, and let's get right into it. So the subscriber who sent in this story, we're going to call him Yusuf. I got that name from the comment section down below, so leave in the comment down below if you have a name that you want me to use. But anyways, right, so Yusuf, he is this kid in his class who we're going to call the Minecraft kid. And the thing is, right, a little bit of a background. The Minecraft kid, he just, is an avid Minecraft player. And by the way, no disrespect if you like Minecraft. I mean, look at my background gameplay for literally every video for the last 8 months or a year. It's all Minecraft, man. It's a good game. Trust me. I know. I like it too. But anyways, right, so this all happened one day in Yusuf's class. He was kind of just sitting there. He was kind of just chilling. And the Minecraft kid, he wasn't necessarily friends with the guy, but he also wasn't necessarily not friends with the guy. He was on kind of good standing with them. Nothing too special, nothing too crazy. Just your standard run-of-the-mill acquaintance. Let's actually say acquaintance plus, because he was more friendly than your standard acquaintance. Anyways, right? So him and the Minecraft kid, they're sitting there, and then it was kind of in between classes. They had recess, but their recess was earlier, and it was kind of just a low period where they had some time but also wasn't during a class. And anyways, right, a discussion came up because it wasn't just him and the Minecraft kid. It was Yusuf, Minecraft kid, and a bunch of the kids in this class, including some of his friends. And the discussion came up of which is better, Minecraft or Fortnite, right? And I think most of us know that you can have an opinion on this. Personally, I love Minecraft, greatest game ever, in my humble opinion, right? But I also can respect that people don't feel that way. I can respect that people, had that. Look, I had a lot of friends that Fortnite in the golden 2018 era, they had a wonderful time. And it's memories they'll never forget. I can respect that. However, bro, the Minecraft kid in this video, he just can't understand it. But anyways, right, so him and Yusuf, they're, everyone else is kind of talking. The Minecraft kid is really holding up the side of oh, Minecraft is the greatest game of all time, man. There's no question. There's not even a question about it. I don't even know why this is a discussion, dude. I don't know why we're talking about this. This is blasphemous. I don't know if he said blasphemous. I mean, I'm pretty sure these guys are in 5th or 6th grade or something. I didn't get an exact year, but that's an assumption. Anyways, right. So, the kids are going on, they're talking about it, and eventually, right, Yusuf was one of those guys, some of my friends, who back in, 2018, just had, some of the greatest memories, some, the greatest golden memories of, hopping on, Fortnite, and, I'm going to get some of the terms wrong, because I never played myself, I never got into it, just kind of, hopping on Fortnite, and just having a really great time, with his friends, getting the first win or whatever, or I don't even know. I've kind of heard the game has kind of gone to shite, to put it lightly, but he remembers the golden era. So Yusuf, he's like, hey, man, nah, I'm going to be really strong about this, Minecraft, I get it, it's more popular, it's gotten more downloads, there's more people that would agree with you, but personally, man, not a shot. Fortnite is significantly better. And at this point, right, the Minecraft kid, because everyone else was it's close, man, but, either I like Minecraft more, or I guess Fortnite's a little better for me. But when Yusuf said is, significantly better, the Minecraft kid looked at him and is what do you mean significantly? Well, are you saying that Minecraft isn't even close? Are you insane? And while Yusuf, kind of respected the game Minecraft in the sense of, he understood why people liked it, he just had a really good, memory. He just really enjoyed, his time on Fortnite. So he stood pretty strong. He's nah, man, nah, Minecraft kid, I'm sorry. It's just not even close. It's just not even in the same league. And the thing is, right, Yusuf might have been, puffing up his chest a little, definitely sticking to his guns. But, hey man, like that's fair enough. This isn't a consequential debate. Like fair enough, right? But anyways, right, the Minecraft kid is starting to get mad. Like he's starting to get actually mad. Like he's actually starting to get angry, bro, for some reason. He's actually starting to get upset. And at this point, he's like, dude, what, you don't even know what you're saying, man. Like, you're not even making sense anymore. Like, this is so insane. Like, for some Minecraft kids, it's, like, completely losing it. But, you know, in the beginning of this video, I said that, like, this kind of period of time was, like, kind of a short period of time in between classes. And sure enough, like, the new teacher walked into the room, or the teacher for the next class, and said, all right, guys, like, break is over, pull out your textbooks, whatever, go to page, whatever, right? At this point, the Minecraft kid looks at Yusuf and is like, dude, this is not over. And Yusuf's like, fine, then it's not. By the way, if you enjoy story times and you haven't already, consider subscribing. It's free, and you can always change your mind later. Anyways, right, so, class was going on, the teacher was at the front teaching, whatever, and, Yusuf is kind of sitting there, and the Minecraft kid is sitting a couple rows in front of him. And Yusuf was kind of just, like, staring at the board, starting to get a little bored of what's going on, so he was spacing out, a little bit. He was starting to, like, not focus in. He's like, okay, well, it's kind of standard behavior, right? And he kind of, like, spaces out, but then his eyes kind of focus back in when he realizes that the Minecraft kid, who is a couple rows in front of him, has turned around in his desk and is, like, staring him down, like, maliciously, like, looking at him, like, with this kind of, like, face. At this point, right, Yusuf kind of notices that the Minecraft kid has turned around and is just kind of staring at him with this face, and he's kind of just thinking to himself, like, no way this kid still cares about our Fortnite versus Minecraft debate. I mean, come on, bro. Like, out of all the things to care about, that's what you're putting your effort into? Like, out of all the things to care about, man, in the entire world, like, right now, first of all, there's class going on, and am I paying attention? No. But neither are you, and you're not paying attention because of our Fortnite versus Minecraft debate. But also, bro, like, it's not that deep. It just simply is not that deep, bro. So the Minecraft kid is about to go crazy in class, and it's pretty funny / embarrassing for him. But before that happens, right, I just want to say that the word of the day is Fortnite. Yeah, Fortnite. So yeah, go ahead and comment down Fortnite down below if you made it this far. If you're really cool, you might even want to comment it out, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 times. I will be giving out a couple hearts. I don't have a ton of time, but if I see you commenting a lot, I'm going to scroll through really quickly and heart just a few comments, or as many as I can, I guess. I just don't have a lot of time. But yeah, anyways, if you're listening to this, comment Fortnite down below, maybe even comment it a couple times. But anyways, right, so Yusuf is kind of just sitting there like, bro, what's going on, man? Like, I'm just trying to, like, pay attention because the Minecraft kid has turned around, like for the last, like, minute, and has just been staring at him. And the teacher was at the, the kind of facing towards the board to write stuff down, but, he turned around to kind of, like, he was middle of a question, and the teacher kind of, like, stops talking for a second, and is like, Minecraft kid, says his actual name, but it's like, Minecraft kid, like, turn around. The Minecraft kid turns around. And the teacher turns back to the board, and then after like 5 seconds after the teacher goes back to the board and continues to write on it, sure enough, the Minecraft kid turns around in his chair and starts looking at Yusuf again, and Yusuf is like, bro, this kid. And sure enough, like, Yusuf is just like sitting there looking at the Minecraft kid, who is still turned around staring at him. And this time, like, the Minecraft kid stays there staring at him for like a minute and a half. And once again, right, the teacher who is, like, on the board writing something turns around to address the class again and stops talking as he sees, the Minecraft kid once again turned around all the way. He's like, Minecraft kid, like, for this is the second time. Like, turn around. Like, what are you doing? And sure enough, Minecraft kid turns around, looks at the front. The teacher kind of stares at him for a second and then turns back to the board to start writing. And as soon as the teacher turns back to the board, Minecraft kid whips around in his seat and stares at Yusuf again with these, like, eyes of, like, you're a bad guy. You think Fortnite is better than Minecraft. And at this point, like, Yusuf is just like, this kid's insane, bro. What? And so once again, this is the third time, right? So once again, the teacher turns around from the board and sees the Minecraft kid turned around completely. And the teacher's like, Minecraft kid, what is your problem? The Minecraft kid turns around and says, I'm just really upset. And Yusuf is sitting there like, no way. Like, this has to be unrelated. And then he's thinking to himself, nope, it's not. He was staring at me the whole time. And he's just thinking to himself, oh my God, like, you can't be serious, man. Like, you just cannot be serious. And yeah, sure enough, Yusuf, the Minecraft kid, then goes on to say, Yusuf said something really just awful today. And the teacher looks at Yusuf like, what did this kid say? And the Minecraft kid starts getting, like, angry in what he's saying. He said, what Yusuf said should not be allowed to be said. What he said really hurt me and many other people. And the teacher's like, kind of like, okay, I got to take control of the situation, because you think that, like, Yusuf said something, like, really awful. He's like, Yusuf, like, what did you say? And Yusuf's like, dude, I really don't know. And he's like, no, you have to know. I'm sure you know what it is. And then Yusuf's like, you know what? I think I do know what it is. Do you know the game Fortnite, Mr. Whatever? We'll just call him Mr. Ben. And the teacher, Mr. Ben, was like, it's a video game, right? And Yusuf's like, yeah. He's like, do you know the game Minecraft, Mr. Ben? And, Mr. Ben was sure enough. He's like, yeah, I think my kid plays that game. Yeah, I know what that game is. Both video games, right? And Yusuf's like, yeah. So, Minecraft kid and I, we had a little debate earlier about which game was better, Minecraft or Fortnite. Personally, I like Fortnite better. He liked Minecraft better. I said that Fortnite was a better game. And this is why he's having this reaction. And after he said that, the Minecraft kid is like, see, he admits it, man. He admits to saying such things. Send him away, Mr. Ben. Send him to the principal's office. Do it now. Do it while you still have a chance. And Mr. Ben just looks at, Minecraft kid with this face, just like this blank expression of like, you are the reason that I cannot be happy. Just like, bro, stop. It's not that deep. But anyways, right, Mr. Ben looks at the Minecraft kid and is like, just go back to your work, man. Just be quiet. Just sit down. Just sit down. And the Minecraft kid's like, it's a big deal. I don't understand why you don't understand it. And, Mr. Ben's like, what do you mean? Like, he just likes the game better. He's allowed to like certain things more than others. And the Minecraft kid's like, no, he's not. That's not, you can't say that. You can't say that here. And Mr. Ben just looks at him, gives, like, the Minecraft kid this big, long look, and it's just like, during that look, he's like, this, like, very intentional, long, drawn-out sigh of just, why? Why, kid? Why do you hate me? Anyways, he goes back to teaching. Yusuf sits back in his chair, and the Minecraft kid just, goes back. He doesn't turn around to stare again, because I think the teacher would legitimately kick him out of class. But the Minecraft kid's just sitting there brewing, just like, oh my God, I can't believe he did this. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll go watch a new video. There's some on screen, some that are recommended. Go watch one, and I'll be very happy. Bye. Today we got a story time of a Minecraft kid who actually thought the back rooms were real and had a complete freak out at the sleepover, and it was quite hilarious. So yeah, sit back, relax, leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing, and let's get right into it. I got today's story from a subscriber who we're going to call John, and I got the name John from the comment section down below. So as always, if you want me to use your name or your friend's name or really any name you want, literally just leave it in a comment down below. I look through the comments all the time to find a name to use in a video. So yeah, go ahead and do that. And anyways, right, so John, the subscriber, he told me this story that happened kind of recently. So if you don't know, recently there was like a viral video about the back rooms that went out. It was actually kind of like a mini series done by someone who did a really, really great job. I'm pretty sure I'll leave a link in the description, or at least some information in the description, so you can go watch that video if you'd like. But anyways, right, that video was so good that it actually convinced a lot of people that the back rooms were actually real. In fact, I did a video a couple days ago about another subscriber who sent in a story that the back rooms video actually made one of his friends believe it. And I guess he's not alone, because today we have a story from the subscriber about how his friend saw that video, believed the back rooms were real, and had a complete freak out at his sleepover. But anyways, right, so this happened to John, the subscriber. And one day, right, he was just like, chilling with his friends, having a pretty good time. And, we're just going to call this friend the Minecraft kid, because he was just known for, he was like known as like the Bed Wars sweat in the class or whatever. So for that reason, we're just going to call him the Minecraft kid, right? So anyways, right, John, the Minecraft kid, and a couple other of their boys, right, they're going to have a good time. They're excited. They're friends. Life is good. And they want to have a sleepover, right? So yeah, they talk to their parents, and sure enough, that weekend they can have a sleepover. Life is good, man. Things are good. Well, life was good until a couple days before the sleepover. Let's just call it like Wednesday or something. The Minecraft kid discovers the videos in the back rooms. And real quick, for some of you guys who don't know, the back rooms are kind of like an internet legend where you can essentially, like, if you're not careful, you can no clip, which is a video game term, but basically you can phase out of reality into these endless rooms that are very similar to a kind of a dank, musty 1980s office that just keeps going on and on and on and repeating itself. And that was kind of an internet legend that happened a little while ago, but more recently there was a video that someone made that was like kind of a live, not a live action, but it was like a film project that was really well done. And I suggest everyone watch it. But the thing is, a lot of people watched it, and on the younger side, a lot of people were like, wow, this is actually really believable. And the Minecraft kid was one of those kids. So the Minecraft kid ends up watching this video, and the next day he comes into school. And, you know, the subscriber, John, is just kind of chilling there, having a good time, excited for the sleepover that's happening that weekend. And what happens, right, is, you know, his friend comes up to him, the Minecraft kid comes up to him, and John is looking at him. The Minecraft kid's, his eyes are, like, wide, and the Minecraft kid's like, man, oh, man, I'm so worried. By the way, if you like story videos and if you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel. It's free and you can always change your mind later. Anyways, right, so, you know, he comes up to John. He's like, John, oh my God, like, oh my God. And John just kind of looks at the Minecraft kid like, bro, like, what is up? Like, are you good, man? Like, is everything okay? You're looking really sweaty. Like, are things okay? And the Minecraft kid's like, John, do you know about the back rooms? And John looks at him, he's like, yeah, you know, the internet legend. He's like, no, John, you don't understand, man. These things are real. And John looks at him like, bro, what are you talking about, man? Like, it's like a meme or like an internet legend. It's one of those creepypastas, man. Don't tell me you're going to say that, like, every other creepypasta that's ever existed is now real. Oh, yeah, Sonic.exe, that's real. Jeff the Killer, yeah, that's real, man. Yeah, anything that's on the internet is real, because lesson 1 of the internet is anything you see is legit. But, you know, John can't convince the Minecraft kid that what he saw wasn't reality, and the Minecraft kid was convinced that, you know, he was like, John, I'm sorry that you're so naive right now, but, you know, it's dangerous, like, and I will convert you, like, you will see the truth. And that was kind of a weird cultish kind of thing to say, but whatever, right? He's like, John, you will see the truth. Like, trust me, I will show you the truth. I will show you the way. And, you know, John's just like, all right, bro, like, whatever. Part of, like, John was thinking that this whole thing was kind of like an elaborate troll by the Minecraft kid. But then again, they were, you know, they are, because not were, this happened recently, they are, like, in 5th grade. And, you know, John's, like, not, like, you know, he's a 5th grader, but he's still mature enough to know that, like, internet memes or internet creepypasta, they're not real, man. It's just not true. They're just not real. But the thing is, right, his friend had a bit more of a, let's just call it an active imagination, to put it lightly. And he has kind of done nothing like to this extreme before, but it wouldn't have been completely unbelievable, to John at least, that his friend, the Minecraft kid, would have believed this to be true. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, right, so, you know, John doesn't really think anything more of this, and sure enough, the sleepover comes, and, you know, he completely forgets about this encounter until a little bit later, as you guys will see. But anyways, it's the day of the sleepover, so, you know, everyone's coming over to John's house, and everything is totally normal at first. Like, everything is normal. Like, there's nothing weird. The Minecraft kid is just acting normal, or as normal as the Minecraft kid had ever acted before. And, you know, John really thought nothing of it. And this kind of seemed like there was going to be no story until later that night. So anyways, right, it's whatever. They stay up for a decent amount of time. And, you know, John's mother comes up and says, hey, guys, like, glad you're having fun, but it's probably time for you guys to go to bed. Like, it's getting pretty late. Like, alrighty now. Like, let's wrap things up here. And they're like, okay, whatever, right? Fair enough. It's like 11 or something, and we're in 5th grade. We go to bed early, whatever. And so, yeah, they're brushing their teeth. They're getting ready. And John is just brushing his teeth when he looks over and sees the Minecraft kid in his room staring at something. And it's just very, very strange. And he doesn't know why he feels so weird about it. But in retrospect, he was 100% on the money. Minecraft kid was up to some nonsense, bro. Real quick, right? So the secret word of the day is backrooms. So comment backrooms, BACKROOMS, 1, 2, 3, maybe 5 times. If you're super cool, you'll comment it 5 times. So I'm gonna go through and heart a bunch of random people who comment. I can't heart them all at this point. I just have a lot of things going on and also a lot of comments, which I appreciate. But if you want to up your odds of getting a heart, just comment it more times. Don't do it more than 5 times though. I don't want YouTube to remove your comments or whatever, or ban you from commenting. But I think 5 is a pretty decent number. So comment backrooms in the comments. And anyways, right, so the subscriber, John, he doesn't know why he feels so weird about the Minecraft kid kind of staring at something. But in retrospect, it all makes a ton of sense. And John, the subscriber, was 100% on point that something weird was brewing. But anyways, right, so, they brush their teeth, and the Minecraft kid eventually comes into the room and is, kind of very quiet for some reason. He's just, weird. And it's John, the subscriber. He just doesn't know why the Minecraft kid is acting so weird and strange, but he really doesn't really think anything of it at the time. He just notices it, kind of makes, a mental note of it, but doesn't think anything of it at the time. In retrospect, makes a ton of sense. And the Minecraft kid, he's just acting weird. And he doesn't, John is like, all right, guys, so let's go to bed. And John gets into his bed, and the Minecraft kid and the 2 other guys that are with them, they brought sleeping bags, and they plop them on the floor. John turns off the lights, and he expects that the next time that he opens his eyes will be, at 7 in the morning or at 9 in the morning or whatever, and to go down and eat some breakfast. But that is not the case because, he's middle of a dream. John's sitting there just enjoying his sleep, and he's shaking, and he feels like he's moving back and forth. And he looks up, and it's the Minecraft kid. And the Minecraft kid is sweating and freaking out a little bit. And John is really startled by this because your friend just came up to you and is you're awoken by your friend shaking you something is wrong, something is wrong. And the Minecraft kid, John is just oh my god, what's up? And the Minecraft kid's dude, I told you it was real. And at this point, John's dude, what are you talking about, man? What are you saying? And the Minecraft kid's dude, just come with me, come look. And at this point, John's terrified. He has no idea what he's about to show him. And the Minecraft kid brings him out to his hallway and points towards a door or a door to a room. And there's yellow light coming out of it. And one of the things you need to know is in the back rooms, it's kind of that kind of dingy yellow corporate lighting from the 80s. And it just isn't a good lighting job. But the problem is, right, that's a pretty common light. That type of lighting, it's not the greatest and it doesn't look that good. It still is pretty common. That's all I gotta say. It's still pretty common lighting. So, yeah, sure enough, the Minecraft kid points at this door and is John, the back rooms, they're real. At this point, John is starting to really wake up and comprehend what's happening. And he realizes that his friend is pointing at one of his rooms in his house that he probably just forgot to turn the light off. And he woke him up, terrified, right? Assuming that the back rooms are real. And it's proof. And so John is dude, that's just, he's dude, that's just a room. It's just a room in my house. And John's no, it's not. Or not John, the Minecraft kid. So John's all right, whatever, dude. And, John goes up into the room, turns off the light, and is bro, it's literally just a storage closet. It's nothing. And, this Minecraft kid's dude, I'm sorry. I thought it was, I don't know what's up with me. And John, starts feeling a little compassionate at first, right? He's you know what, man, it's okay. You're probably just freaking out about something. Let's just go back to the room. Let's try and be quiet just so we don't wake up the other guys. I'm going to go in my closet. I'm going to try and find a night light, just plug it in, and then we'll just all go to bed, and things will be good. And John's yeah, man, I'm so sorry about this. Thank you. So they go in, right? And sure enough, right, John goes to the closet, turns on the closet light, and then the Minecraft kid starts screaming, the back rooms! No! John! Don't fall for it! At this point, the other 2 kids who were blissfully sleeping are just rudely awoken. And they're just oh, God, what's happening? And John's dude, what are you talking about? And then John looks at the closet, right? And he realizes, because he turned on the light to look for the night light, and he realizes that the light to the closet is the same kind of dingy yellow. And then at this point, right, the Minecraft kid's like, John, it's a trap. Don't fall for it. You're going to fall into the back rooms. Don't no clip out of And, at this point, John turns around. He's like, dude, it's just the closet light. At this point, everyone's like looking up. And because they're like, what's going on? What's going on? And John's like, bro, is this what you were staring at earlier? The closet light? And the Minecraft kid is just kind of looking at John like, I'm an idiot. Because at this point, right, the Minecraft kid, who has a very active imagination, to put it lightly, is now very much aware that, both times, and probably more embarrassingly the second time, it was just a lighting choice. It wasn't actually the back rooms, opening up to swallow them whole or anything like that. And yeah, sure enough, the Minecraft kid is just like, yo, bro, I'm sorry. And at this point, like, the other two guys are like, dude, why am I awake right now? Like, it's 12. It's literally midnight, bro. Like, why am I awake right now? And sure enough, like, John is like, all right, whatever. He goes in the closet, turns the light on again because he turned it off to, like, prove it's not the back rooms. And no, the Minecraft kid did not freak out a third time, even though that would be pretty funny. He finds the nightlight, plugs it in, and they go to sleep and they wake up the next day. And the Minecraft kid kind of pulls John aside after they eat breakfast, which was pancakes, which are just such a good way to start the morning. He pulls him aside. He's like, dude, I'm so sorry. I don't know what got into me. And John's like, bro, don't even worry about it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Now go watch another video. There's some on screen, some in the recommended section. Go watch one. Make me very happy. Today we got a story time of a Minecraft kid who freaks out in class because he thinks Huggy Wuggy, yeah, like the big blue monster thing from that video game, is real and out to get him. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. Leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing, and let's just jump right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber Alex, and I got that name from the comment section, so leave a comment for any name you want me to use. But anyways, Alex told me the story about this time of when this Minecraft kid had basically this massive freak out in class because he thought Huggy Wuggy, as I showed you a photo earlier, that kind of like that blue monster from that video game, was actually real. And you might be thinking, Connor, how did he even fall for this in the first place? Well, anyways, here's part one of what happened. Part one is actually tricking the Minecraft kid into believing it. And the subscriber was not the one who ended up tricking the Minecraft kid, because that's, I don't know, that's a little bit mean. I'll be honest, it just feels like a little bit mean to me, and the subscriber also feels that way, or I'm just going to call him Alex from this point on. But there's this kid in the class, right? So there's Alex, there's the Minecraft kid, and then there's also the kind of, we're just going to call him the bully guy. He's known for being kind of mean, for like, I don't know, tricking people, pranking people, but also kind of doing it in like mean-spirited ways. And in part one of this story, essentially what happens is, right, the bully guy, he's bored one day, and he knows the Minecraft kid is kind of gullible, and he's known as the Minecraft kid because he plays a ton of Minecraft, and that's kind of his personality, which, when you're in second grade, which is what grade they were in, man, like, I don't know, it's a cool game. That's fine if that's your personality. But anyways, right, one day, the bully was kind of just like chilling in class, and he was getting bored, and he wanted to mess with someone, and he knew that the Minecraft kid was pretty gullible. And, he was like, you know what? Let's try and convince this kid about that, Huggy Wuggy is actually like a real thing. For me, back in the day, for a little bit, I believed in this thing called like Bloody Mary. Essentially, back in my day, there was a little legend going around that if at 3 a.m., yes, before 3 a.m. became kind of a meme, if you went into your bathroom mirror at 3 a.m. with the lights off and said Bloody Mary's name 3 times, she'd appear behind the mirror and then end you. Like, it was something like that. I know that sounds really dumb, but bro, I was in second grade and I kind of believed it. So once again, right, the bully is like, you know what? We're going to make the Minecraft kid believe that, yes, Huggy Wuggy is like a legitimate urban legend and will actually, come after him if something happens. And the bully kind of doesn't just want to scare him a little bit. He also wants to embarrass him in front of the whole class. So when the bully comes up with this idea, he feels pretty proud of himself. He feels pretty confident. He's pretty excited, So he turns to both his friend, who we're going to call Ben, and also the subscriber, aka Alex, right? And Alex isn't necessarily friends with the bully. He just is like on okay grounds with him. And the bully turns to Ben and Alex and is like, hey, I have a pretty funny idea. So you see him over there, points to the Minecraft kid. I'm going to convince him that Huggy Wuggy is real. And at this point, Alex is like, that's fine, like, whatever, do what you want. But then the bully says, and then I'm going to do this. The bully goes on to explain to Ben and Alex that he's going to tell the Minecraft kid that Huggy Wuggy will only spawn when a teacher talks about something called the Black Death. If you don't know, that was something like the Black Plague or whatever. That was something that happened in like the 1600s or maybe earlier, I kind of forget, where there's a disease that wiped out a lot of people on the planet. And the bully knew that they were really close to covering it in history class. And he was going to explain to the Minecraft kid that across schools, across the country, right, that talking about like, the Black Plague or the Black Death or whatever was banned because they like the teachers knew it would spawn like Huggy Wuggy, this evil creature, whatever, which sounds ridiculous, but man, they were in second grade. And essentially, the bully was going to, show him, try and convince him of, Huggy Wuggy's existence, and then tell him if the teacher, says anything about the Black Death or the Black Plague, he will spawn and, end us all or whatever, knowing very well that the teacher was about to hop onto a unit about, like, the Black Plague, and most likely, the Minecraft kid would have had a massive freak out in class. So Ben, the bully's friend, was like, ha ha ha, that's so funny, whatever, but Alex, the subscriber, was like, all right, man, I don't know, that sounds a little mean, but, do what you want to do. And, Alex kind of goes back to, living his life or whatever. But, he is close enough to, both the Minecraft kid and, Ben, or not Ben, but the bully guy to hear what the bully says to the Minecraft kid to try and convince him. So anyways, right after that conversation, the bully goes on his phone and finds some kind of like scary video of like a clip from the video game where Huggy Wuggy like jumps out and attacks like the player, but make sure not to show that it doesn't show any part that, I don't know, shows that it's in a video game or shows that it's a YouTuber. So he goes ahead and he goes on this like downloader app. He downloads the video from YouTube and then he cuts it so it's just like, the Huggy Wuggy jump scare or whatever. He's like, all right, this is my proof and I'm going to go up to the Minecraft kid and try and convince him. So anyways, right, the bully does go up to the Minecraft kid and the bully's like, man, I got something really, really important to tell you. And the Minecraft kid's like, oh, bro, what's up? Like, what's going on? He's like, hey, man, this is just like, I need to get the word out about this. It's like for the safety of others. He's like, dude, my cousin had a friend who went to the school, and in this school, they didn't get the message. And, the Minecraft kid's like, what do you mean they didn't get the message? And the bully's like, they didn't get the message not to talk about the Black Plague. And, Minecraft kid's like, oh, I don't know what that is. He's like, okay, so here's basically what happened. For some reason, right, across the country, whenever, teachers were talking about, trying to teach their kids about the Black Plague, this creature, this big blue creature would just appear and you would just end them all. And just look, and he shows them a video. He doesn't call the creature Huggy Wuggy, right? Because it's like, that's a little like, that might throw him off a little bit. The name is a little bit too cutesy. He's like, I'll leave that out. And then like, the Minecraft kid is like, oh my God. But then the Minecraft kid's like, wait a minute. Why haven't I heard about this? And, the bully, like, thinks for a second. He's like, oh, shoot. And he's like, oh, the government, they're trying to cover it up, man, because it would be mass hysteria. We'd literally have a civil war. Why would we have a civil war? I don't know. It sounded scary and hyperbolic, so might as well say that. But anyways, the bully's like, they tried to cover it up, but my cousin, he had a friend, and his friend, like, he was leaving to go to the bathroom as the big blue monster came in and ended all of his friends. He was able to escape. And, the FBI came to his house and said that he couldn't tell anyone. And, but, he needed to get the word out just in case. He said, if a teacher, right, if for some reason our teacher has not gotten the word and they start teaching us about the Black Plague, right, you have to get up and you have to stop them at all costs. I just need to let more people know. And at this point, right, the Minecraft kid's like, oh man, like, thanks for letting me know. I appreciate that. And the bully just like, he puts both hands on the Minecraft kid's shoulders and looks him directly in the eyes. And he's like, just remember, if you have to take one thing away from what I'm saying, if our teacher starts talking about the Black Death, the Black Plague, whatever you want to call it, you'll know it when you hear about it. This is what's going to happen to all of us. And he reaches back into his pocket, pulls out his phone, goes into his videos, and shows him the video again. At this point, right, the Minecraft kid is completely convinced. And just remember, the Minecraft kid was already kind of gullible, plus they were all in second grade. Normally, if you did this to like some random like high schooler, yeah, it wouldn't work. But bro, the Minecraft kid, at this point, he was both terrified and convinced. So the bully walks back, the bully walks over to, back to his table, and he's kind of like smiling, and he looks over at Ben and kind of gives him like a high five or whatever. And, Alex, the subscriber, is looking at this like, bro, this kid's kind of a jerk, if I'm being honest. So nothing really happens for the rest of that day, and nothing actually happens for a couple more days. But about 3 days later, they all get into class, they sit down, right? Alex, the subscriber, has more or less kind of forgotten about what has happened in the last couple days, and is just kind of like thinking about like normal things. And he's like, oh, I wonder what we're going to learn about in history today. And sure enough, the teacher goes up and he's like, all right, class, we've reached that period in history where we're going to be talking about the Black Plague. And at this point, right, as soon as Alex heard those words, everything kind of like snapped back into him and remembered exactly what the bully's plan was. And Alex looked over at the Minecraft kid, and he was able somehow to see at the angle he was able to see the Minecraft kid's face. And the Minecraft kid's face was like completely pale, like in complete shock. And the Minecraft kid was about to act. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, which if you're hearing this, you did, comment Huggy Wuggy down below. That's 2 words, by the way. I just want to see how many people made it this far into the video, as I really, really do appreciate people who watch my videos. And also, if you haven't already done so, consider subscribing. It'll make me very happy, and you'll get 0 seconds of good luck, which is a fantastic deal. Anyways, back to the video. Anyways, right, sure enough, Alex, the subscriber, is sitting there like, oh no, like the Minecraft kid, what is he gonna do? And yes, sure enough, right, the Minecraft kid, he gets up and he literally says, no! Like, he just screams out no in front of everyone. And everyone kind of just, like, goes super silent, because they're just like, why did this kid just scream out no? The teacher's face is this look of, like, complete shock and confusion with a little bit of horror, because he's just like, oh my god, why did this kid just get up in front of everyone and scream, no! Because at this point, right, the teacher and nobody else besides the bully, Ben, and, the subscriber, Alex, have any idea about why any of this is going on. And, right, the bully and Ben are trying so hard not to laugh right now. Alex, like, looks over and takes, like, a peek and says, yeah, these kids are trying not to laugh so hard. By the way, don't worry, the bully's gonna get some karma in just a second, but it's towards the end, but he does get karma, don't worry. What goes around comes around, just as Justin Timberlake said, baby. Don't worry about it. And the teacher finally, after being kind of like shocked for a second, looks at the Minecraft kid and says, what are you talking about? And the Minecraft kid's like, no, don't talk about, the Black Plague. And the teacher's like, it's in our unit. Why do you not want? He's like, a big blue monster. He's gonna come eat us all. And at this point, right, the class is just like, what the heck? What is going on right now, man? What is going on? And the teacher looks at the Minecraft kid and is like, come again? And the Minecraft kid's like, you don't understand. There's this creature, this big blue creature that, he's going around from school to school. And if the teachers talk about, the Black Plague, he comes and ends them all. And at this point, right, the teacher's like, Minecraft kid. He says his actual name. He's like, Minecraft kid. That is obviously not true. Also, I just said, the Black Plague. If that was true, wouldn't there be a big blue creature coming out right now? And sure enough, no, Huggy Wuggy did not appear from the ceiling and, like, FNAF-style jump scare them all. That just didn't happen. Sure enough, believe it or not, and yeah, the Minecraft kid is, like sitting there, still kind of panicked, freaking out. He's like, and then, like, the Minecraft kid is starting to realize how ridiculous of a statement because he kind of did it on instinct. He was thinking about it, because for like the last 2 days, he was having like nightmares about like, the big blue monster, which happened to be like Huggy Wuggy or whatever, right? And he's like, oh my, and he was freaking out about it. So the second that the teacher said like the kind of the key word that was supposed to like doom them all, he freaked out. But after he said it out loud in front of everyone, he kind of realized how dumb it was. And he kind of sat back down. He's like, sorry, teacher, I don't know what got into me. At this point, right, the whole class starts laughing. And the subscriber, Alex, he's not having it. He's like, nah, man, this Minecraft kid, he's not a bad kid. I'm not for this. And anyways, right, the bully and Ben, his friend, are just laughing so hard right now. Even the teacher giggles a little bit, which fair enough, right? I mean, it's kind of wild what just happened. He's like, all right, class, don't worry about a big blue monster coming out to destroy us all. I can promise you personally that will not happen. And then everyone laughs again a little bit, and then they go on to actually go into the history lesson. And, sure enough, right, Alex is sitting there throughout the entire class. He was thinking to himself, man, this is not right. Like, that was wrong. Like, that kid did not deserve that. So eventually, right, the class ends, and everyone gets up, and they go off to their next class. But Alex, he kind of, like, takes a little longer to pack up his stuff so that, like, naturally everyone will leave before him. And he's kind of there, he puts his stuff into the bag, and the teacher's sitting at his desk, kind of like looking at his paperwork or whatever, getting ready for his next class. And Alex, the subscriber, goes up and says, hey, can I talk to you for a second? And the teacher's like, yeah, sure. And Alex then goes on to explain everything. He kind of goes on to explain everything that I told you in this story, and the teacher is looking at him the whole time like, all right, good to know. And yeah, sure enough, right, the teacher thinks about it and is like, yeah, that was kind of mean. That was kind of mean of the bully guy. And the bully guy had a history of doing stuff like this before. Maybe, if it was a kid who was like genuinely known as like a good kid and he just thought it'd be kind of funny to have a little prank or whatever, he would get away with it, maybe just with a little talk or something. But no, this kid had a history of being kind of a massive jerk. So yeah, sure enough, the teacher's like, all right, thank you for letting me know. I will handle this. Yeah, and sure enough, later that day, Alex, the subscriber, is kind of walking in the hallways, and, the bully isn't near him, but he hears on the loudspeaker, and it's like, says the bully's name, but he's like, can bully insert last name please come to the front office? I repeat, can bully insert last name? It's first name, last name, you know what I mean? We'll say, like, bend over. So, I'm kidding. I've seen that comment so many times. Anyways, can like, I don't know, Ben, Steve, or whatever come to the front office if that was the name of the bully. And sure enough, right, the bully got a pretty big talking to. And while he didn't necessarily get suspended, apparently, he was on very, very thin ice. And if he did anything like that again, like, he was going to be like in school suspension for a couple days. And also his mom got called and was told all about that, which I don't know, man. Sometimes that's the worst punishment of them all. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe and go watch another video if you're bored. Today we have a story time of a kid who thinks a Freddy Fazbear is real, in his house, and out to get him. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. Leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing, subscribe, and let's get right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber who sent in this story, we're going to call him Dylan. And by the way, I got that name from the comment section, so leave a comment down below of any names you want me to use. And this story all started one night when Dylan was babysitting this kid in his neighborhood. So Dylan got to the house and, the kid's mom, and we're just going to call the kid Ben because I use Ben for every, other name. It's kind of a meme on the channel at this point. Anyways, right, so the kid, aka Ben, his mom came down, greeted him at the door because, Dylan got to the door, rang the doorbell, and, Ben's mom greeted him. And she's like, oh, thank you so much for coming. I know this is kind of on short notice, but I really, really do appreciate it. All you got to do is just, hang out with, Ben's already been fed. You don't have to give him dinner. All you got to do is just hang out with him for a couple hours. His bedtime is at 9, and afterwards, just kind of stay in the house till we get back, which is going to be around 11 or so, and I really, really do appreciate this. And Dylan's like, oh, it's no problem at all. Ben's a great kid. Because this is the second or third time that Dylan has babysat for Ben. Ben's mom is friends with Dylan's mom. They're not super close, but they're friendly enough, right? So anyways, right, it's kind of like a routine babysitting gig. And sure enough, Ben's mom leaves to go do whatever she's going to go ahead and do. And it's time for Dylan to start babysitting Ben at this point. And, it's pretty normal in the very beginning. Things are kind of chilling until things start to get a little bit weird. So for some reason, I don't remember exactly what, Dylan was like, oh, want me to go get whatever. And, Ben was like, yeah, no, that sounds like a good idea. And Dylan's like, all right, well, that's probably in the basement, so I'm going to go down there. And when, Dylan says, I'm going to go down to the basement, Ben looks at him and goes, no, you can't do that. And, Dylan was really just startled by this because Dylan had gone in the basement before because he, that's why he knew where whatever he was trying to get was. And, this had never been an issue before. And also Ben was he wasn't necessarily a quiet kid, but he wasn't known to have random outbursts for no good reason. So, Dylan was both concerned and confused. So, Dylan turned to Ben and was like, dude, like, what's wrong? Like, is everything okay? And Ben is just looking at him like, you don't understand what's down there, man. You don't know what I've seen. And at this point, right, Dylan's just kind of looking at him like, bro, what are you talking about? Is the boogeyman down there? Is a big scary monster down there? And the kid, aka Ben, is just looking at him like, you're not going to believe me, but Freddy Fazbear is down there. And at this point, right, Dylan, he knows what Five Nights at Freddy's is. If you don't know, Freddy Fazbear is like one of the animatronic characters from this video game. Five Nights at Freddy's, very fun game. I used to really enjoy it as a kid. But anyways, right, Dylan was aware of what that game was. He was at least aware, and he was like, Ben, there's 0% chance that Freddy Fazbear is down there. And Ben looks at him like, dude, no, you don't understand. So Dylan kind of has like a smirk on his face, and he looks at Ben and he's like, all right, you want to make a bet? I'm going to go down there, and I bet you like a firm high five, right, that I will find 0 animatronics. I won't find Freddy Fazbear. I won't find Chica. I won't find any of those guys down there. I bet you a whole high five that, I'll find no one down there. And, look, obviously Dylan was just trying to calm Ben's nerves because he felt bad. Ben was 9 or something, so active imagination, if you like to say the least. And Ben was looking at him all kind of scared because he was worried for Dylan, man. He was afraid he was going to go down there. It was going to be the bite of 87 all over again. He can't be having that. And so Ben's like, dude, I don't want you to risk anything. And Dylan looks at him like, Ben, I promise you, I am risking nothing by going into the basement. And so Ben looks at him, because Ben kind of wants him to check anyways. He's like, all right, man, as long as you know what the risks are. So sure enough, right, Dylan opens up, the door to the basement, turns on the lights, starts walking down there, and he's in the middle of yelling up to Ben saying, hey, Ben, I can't see anything so far. As I said, Freddy Fazbear isn't and as he's finishing that sentence, he hears a scream from Ben. Ben upstairs is like, ah! At this point, right, Dylan genuinely thinks that something terrible has happened. So Dylan runs up, assuming that there's a robber or something. He's like, Ben, what's wrong? And he goes up there, and no one's there. Ben is gone. So at this point, right, Dylan's kind of scared because Ben just screamed and then disappeared. And he's kind of thinking in his head, did someone break into the house and capture him? And he's thinking, no, that can't be. That's too fast. I was just down here for a minute. And as soon as Ben screamed, within 20 seconds, Dylan was all the way upstairs and he didn't see anyone. So Dylan's looking around. He's like, oh my God, what could have happened? And he looks at the kitchen door because the basement was right above the kitchen. And in the kitchen, there's a door that led outside. And he turned around to the kitchen door. And sure enough, the kitchen door was wide open. He's like, shoot. So he runs out there and he's like, Ben, where are you? And so he's kind of he goes outside, he's looking around, and he hears another faint, ah! He's like, okay, shoot, Ben, are you okay, Ben? And he starts yelling out for Ben, and Dylan is just kind of running in the direction that he heard Ben faintly scream. He's just like, oh my God, he's thinking the worst right now. Dylan is legitimately thinking, all right, was he captured? Was what happened? Why? Why me? I'm just trying to babysit this kid as a favor to my mom's friend on a Friday night. I'm not trying to chase down some kind of burglar or kidnapper or something. That's just not what I'm trying to do today. You know what I mean? I'm just not trying to do that. And anyways, right, he starts running down the street in the direction of Ben, and he hears Ben yell again, ah, kind of very faintly in the distance. He's like, Ben, I'm coming for you. At this point, right, Dylan is basically breaking out into a full sprint. And thank God, Dylan is a track athlete, because the average person babysitting him probably would not have been able to sustain a full-on sprint for that long, or would have been able to at least catch up with, Ben at this point. And eventually, right, Miles is running around. He's like, or not Miles, sorry, my bad. Dylan's like, oh my God, Ben, where's Ben? Where's this kid? Where'd he go? And then eventually, right, he sees Ben. He's like, Ben. And Ben is several like miles away from, or probably about like a mile away from the house. He's like kind of like cuddled up, kind of like crouched up, fetus position, whatever, in like some random dude's yard. He's like, Ben, what happened? And Ben was kind of just all curled up, and at this point, Dylan was like, Ben, what happened? Like, are you okay? And Ben looks up at him, and he explains why he ran away. Real quick, comment Freddy down below if you made it this far into the video. I'll be trying to dish out some hearts to people who comment Freddy down below as a way to say thank you. I can't get to them all, so maybe comment Freddy 2 or 3 times if you want a better shot of getting a heart. And anyways, back to the story. Anyways, right, Ben says, through like kind of like tears and kind of choking up a little bit, he's like, I know you're not going to believe me, but I actually saw Freddy. I saw Freddy. He was in the house. He was looking right at me. I'm sorry, Dylan. Like, I had to run. And at this point, Dylan is like in his head. He's like, dude, you cannot be serious, bro. I thought you were like captured. I thought someone came for you. I thought you were in serious danger. But Dylan didn't want to be mean to this kid. He obviously looked distraught. Like, Ben was pretty clearly not pulling a prank on him, not pulling a fast one. He genuinely thought this big, scary, like, monster animatronic was in the house after him, and he kind of felt a little bad. But he did say, Dylan was like to Ben, he's like, Ben, you can't just be doing that. Like, I legitimately thought you got kidnapped. And Ben's like, dude, I know, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't mean for any of this, but I really saw him. So, Dylan sits there, kind of thinks about it for a second. He's like, Ben, we're going to go back to the house, and we're going to go through the entire house, you and me. We're not going to separate again. It's going to be you and me, and we're going to go through every square inch of the house, and I'm going to prove it to you that it's just in your imagination so that you can feel safe. Dylan's a good guy, right? Bro, a lot of people would be very mad. They would be mad at Ben. Like, they would just be like, I'm done with this kid. But Dylan, he's a stand-up guy. He's a good kid, right? Because he went out of his way to just, make sure that Ben was feeling safe. So, they walk back, and eventually they get back to the house. And Ben is just, like, looking at the door, like, all, like, nervous and scared or whatever. And, Dylan's like, don't worry about it, man. Come on in. And they walk into the house, and someone's actually sitting at the front table. And Dylan's like, hey, like, hello? And a guy turns around, and Dylan recognizes him as Ben's older brother. And Dylan's like, oh, man, I didn't know you were going to be here. And, Ben's older brother, who's like, I'd say like, he's probably 12 at this point when, Ben is 9. Ben's older brother's like, yeah, sorry, I was upstairs playing video games earlier. Sorry I didn't come down earlier. And, Dylan was like, all right, that's fine. That's okay. Like, just know I'm here till, your parents come back, and I'll be putting you to bed, and, whatever, right? Ben's older brother's like, all right, like, sorry I didn't say anything earlier. Dylan didn't think much of it until, they went upstairs, and Dylan saw what Ben saw. When Dylan and Ben were going around, like, scavenging, like, every square inch of the house to make sure that Freddy Fazbear wasn't actually in there, right, they eventually got to Ben and Ben's older brother's room, and they went around, and Ben was like, because they went in there, Dylan's like, all right, no one's in here, and Ben's like, check the closet, because, like, the monsters always hide in the closet, man. That's just, like, that's a simple fact we all know. So, Dylan's like, all right, fine, whatever. Dylan opens up the closet and is taken aback because what he sees in there is like a papier-mâché Freddy Fazbear costume. At first, he jumps a little bit because it low-key looks like the real deal. And even though he knew for a fact that, Freddy Fazbear is not actually real, right? He doesn't actually exist. He jumped for a sec because that was the last thing he was expecting to see when he opened that up. He's like, geez, like, what's this? Whatever. He goes in and he kind of like, he looks in the closet and Ben's like, is there anything in there? And, Dylan's like, nope, nothing's in there. But he kind of like, Dylan goes in and like kind of like looks at the costume and realizes that it's a costume in the closet that Ben's older brother uses. And then he realizes, and he's like, wait a minute, Ben, what did you exactly see? And Ben like started to get nervous again and tear up a little bit. He's like, I saw this big Freddy. He was standing in the staircase and he was just looking at me. And at this point, Dylan was like, Dylan put 2 and 2 together and realized that Ben's older brother was playing a prank on Ben and almost got him in a lot of danger, to be honest. So, sure enough, eventually time goes by and it's time for them to it's time for Dylan to put them to bed. And they go to bed. Dylan's just kind of sitting there waiting for Ben's mom to return. And when Ben's mom returns, Dylan explains what happens and then also explains what he found in Dylan's older brother's closet. And let's just say that Dylan's older brother got quite a talking to. Subscribe if you haven't already, drop a like on the video, and then click on one of the 4 videos on screen right now to support the channel. Peace. Today we got a story time of a popular girl that shames the nerdy Minecraft kid in class. However, karma is real and she gets what's coming for her. Leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing, subscribe, and let's get right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber who sent in the story, we're going to call him Brady. I got that name from the comment section, by the way. So anyways, right, so in Brady's class, because Brady is in 5th grade, and in his class, he has someone who he's kind of friends with, but is more of an acquaintance with, and we're going to call him Bob. Also got that name from the comment section. Suggest names down below. But anyways, right, so Bob is he's kind of the class nerdy Minecraft kid, whatever, right? And by the way, that's not meant to shame anything. In fact, the nerds are the ones that make the bread out of school, bro. I mean, that math really does come in handy if you're trying to, like, I don't know, be a quant or something, making that money. So no disrespect. Also, obviously, I enjoy Minecraft, so I guess I'm the nerdy Minecraft kid. But anyways, either way, unfortunately, Bob was not that popular with the ladies' man, which I can also unfortunately relate to. Dude, I mean, I might be Bob in disguise. This might be a story about me. It's not, but it really could be. Then there was this girl who we're going to call Victoria, and she was kind of like, you know, the popular girl of the class. I mean, if you think of Mean Girls, she was whatever the top dog in those 4 were called. I forgot her name, man. I haven't watched that movie in years. And this story took place on February 14th. If you don't know, February 14th is Valentine's Day, which is a very sad day for most of us, because February 14th, aka Valentine's Day, is literally just an excuse for people to post on their Instagram stories about how they're doing better in their love life than you, and you just sit there playing Minecraft, all sad. This is definitely not about me, guys. Anyways, though, this was February 14th. This was Valentine's Day. And it was kind of like a school tradition for them to make cards and give it to people. However, you usually just kind of gave them to your friends, but on the rare occasion, right, anyone who had a romantic interest with each other, which since they were just in 5th grade was super rare at this point, and if it was like, I like you, do you want to hold hands? Ew, no, I'll get cooties, and then they both run away. That's basically the extent of like romantic relationships. But there was like 1 or 2 occasions where people would like write actual like romantic letters, like not just like to the boys, right, not being like, I absolutely clap you in Minecraft PvP, or like, I destroyed you in Fortnite, you suck, love your friend, or something like that. Like, those were the standard Valentine's letters that would be given out and received. However, right, you know, occasionally, there would be one with like a romantic interest. And today, that happened again. So this all happened on Valentine's Day, and Brady, the subscriber, he was just sitting in class, and, you know, he was like, you know, he made a few Valentine cards for his friends, being like, yo, do you want to have a sleepover this weekend? By the way, happy Valentine's Day. Like, it was kind of just like chill, friend-to-friend action type stuff. So Brady was going around, and he's like dropping Valentine's cards on his like friends' desks and such. And Victoria, the popular girl, was also doing the same. She went around to her other kind of like her friends, aka her minions, bro. Like, the way it worked was like she was top dog and she had a few minions that kind of like were yes men, or I guess yes women in this case. And they would be like, oh, Victoria, you're so great, whatever. Typical, you know, 5th grade social hierarchies or whatever. Hey, man, these things happen. But anyways, you know, she was going around passing out those Valentines too. And, but, you know, one thing was happening was, like, Brady was kind of paying attention to, like, who was given out to who, because it is always interesting, or he always wanted to see, like, if there was a Valentine given to someone who wasn't an obvious friend, because that normally, in that case, it may be a romantic interest. And, you know, Brady was looking, and he was looking at Bob, and he was friendly with Bob, and Bob was a good kid, and bro, Bob's gonna make bank out of school. But right now, he's kind of just like the nerdy kid that, you know, the girls at this stage of their life, they just don't want him. When he's graduating and he's making like 8 figures as like the CEO of bank, no, not a specific bank, just bank in general, yeah, they're gonna be wanting him, dude. But at this point, he's not winning. He's just not winning, and that's okay. But anyways, right, you know, Bob, you know, he gets it. He's writing the Valentine's card on the desk. And Brady's looking at him because he's like, oh, I wonder who Bob's going to give it to. And Bob had a friend, like whatever. Well, let's just call him Ben for the sake of it, because we name everyone Ben. Bob had a friend, Ben. And, Brady was like, oh, obviously Bob's going to give it to Ben. And he watches as Bob walks right by Ben. And he's like, dude, oh, I like, that was kind of his, like, that was Bob's boy, right? So he's like, oh, I maybe he has another friend I don't know about. And then Brady realizes that Bob, the Minecraft kid, the nerdy Minecraft kid, has walked by all the boys. And look, you can be friends with girls, right? In fact, I would say 2 of my 5 best friends are girls. And in fact, I advocate for cross-gender, whatever genders, friendships. I think you can gain a lot from it. I think it's super valuable and makes your life better. However, in this class, the girls and boys were not friends with each other. Like in my 4th grade, it was just the boys were friends with each other and the girls were friends with each other. Man, it is what it is, dude. But anyways, right, Brady was realizing that Bob was walking right towards Victoria and her minions where they were sitting. And Brady's just thinking to himself, he's like, Bob, dude, my boy, my bro, my brother, like, this is a bad call, dude. Like, you're not going to want to do it. Because the thing is, right, Victoria, while being very similar to Mean Girls in many aspects, she was also similar to Mean Girls in the fact that she was not very nice. And the thing is, right, she'll probably grow up and mature. But look, 5th graders are immature. And in fact, she was immature in the fact that she thought that she was better than everyone, and that gave her the right to be mean to people. And yes, she very much, imbued Mean Girl aesthetic. So sure enough, right, Bob the Minecraft kid walks up to Victoria with a card, and he places it on her desk. And Victoria is looking down, was like looking at her friends, talking to them, or her minions. I can't even really call them friends. But she was looking at her friends and then like slowly looks up and does this like slow look, almost like that elevator look when you look up someone then down someone, but looks up and looks directly into Bob's face with this look of disgust. But right now, Bob is just like, he's just on this confidence high, and he just drops the letter down and he kind of stands there. And at this point, right, Brady's like, oh shoot, it's going down. Grab the popcorn, boys, it's going down. And sure enough, right, Victoria and her minions kind of like look at her with this look of shock, like, oh my God, did this just happen? Victoria, grabs the letter, opens it up, and essentially inside, I don't know exactly what it says. Brady, the subscriber, sent this story to me on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram at ConnorPugs. It's in the description. It's the account with like 34K. Has a couple of photos of me and the boys looking fire. Also, might as well comment Mean Girl / Mean Girls in the comment section. I'm going to heart a bunch of people who do that. But anyways, right, so Victoria reads the letter and just looks up at Bob. And what she says is mad out of pocket, bro. Like, what she says is just not okay. She looks at him and laughs and says, I will never go out with someone like you. You know when someone says to you, dude, the worst she can say is no. You've never had a girl laugh at you, bro. You've never had a girl laugh at you. You don't know what it's like. You don't know what Bob is experiencing right now. Dude, the worst she can say is not no. The worst she can say is, ew, you're ugly, bro. And sure enough, right, Victoria eviscerates Bob in front of the entire class. Completely disrespectful, completely uncalled for. You don't have to say yes to someone if they ask you out, but be nice about it. They have feelings too. They are 99% likely to be a human. Maybe they're an alien or a robot, but most likely they're human too, bro. Anyways, right, Bob, the Minecraft kid, walks back to his desk defeated. And the whole class is kind of like mumbling to each other because it's like a mix of shock, kind of like amusement, but also just like mostly shock. Because, like, no one is really laughing at this point because it was, like, super mean. And even though everyone is immature and this is, like, 5th grade, people know that this isn't okay, dude. Like, even they know that this isn't okay. However, right, Victoria kind of feels like, she has almost cemented her power even more by, being mean to Bob. Like, oh, now that I was so cruel to Bob, everyone will know for sure that I am top dog, that I am number one, that I'm like, the most powerful, whatever, right? That I am the top mean girl, whatever. However, like, politics work for 5th graders. I don't know, dude. However, I did say in the beginning of the video that karma is real. And the thing is, I do believe in karma, and this story is just more proof that it does exist. Because the thing was, Victoria was very loud when she said Bob was ugly and that she would never date or have any romantic interest in anyone like him ever. She was very loud when she said this, and that was on purpose. Because, she wanted the entire class to know that she said this. She wanted to publicly humiliate him. However, right, she said it loud enough so that both the class and the teacher could hear. And the thing is, right, the teacher is not immature. The teacher is fully aware of how cruel, Victoria was, how mean what she said was, how bad it was that she said what she said. And Victoria thought she got away scot-free because the teacher, he heard what, she said, but he didn't say anything immediately because he wanted to kind of sit there and think about, all right, what is the appropriate punishment for this? So he actually, acts as if he didn't hear anything and then begins class. And, Brady, the subscriber, is kind of looking back at Bob, and Bob looks like he's crushed, man. He really got his hopes up. Or at least he thought that, if he was going to be let down, it wouldn't be so cruelly. But by the end of class, right, Brady's walking out. And as he's walking out, he kind of stays behind for just a second. He doesn't stay in the classroom, but once he walks outside the classroom, he kind of waits back just to hear what the teacher's about to say. And he hears the teacher say, "Victoria, can I see you for a minute?" And sure enough, right, Brady's like, all right, so Victoria is getting punished. Because for a second, he was like, bro, is Victoria not getting punished? And it turns out, right, Victoria has to write Bob a full-on apology letter. And as well with this, Victoria's parents are told about everything. And I don't know about you, but when your parents are told about when you're kind of acting like a jerk, that is sometimes the worst punishment of them all. Subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a like on the video and then click one of the 4 videos on screen right now / watch another video to support the channel. Thank you. Bye. Today we got a story time of a Minecraft kid who thought that physics worked like it does in Minecraft, aka if you spill water, it doesn't go everywhere. It only spreads out a little bit. And if you chop down a tree, it doesn't fall, it floats. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. Leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing, and let's just jump right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber who sent in today's story, we're going to call him Sam. I got that name from the comment section. If you want me to use a name, just leave a comment saying the name down below. And normally, the story goes the subscriber sends in a story where they tell me about a Minecraft kid. No. Today is different. Today, the subscriber admits something to me. He admits his darkest secret, that he, in fact, was the Minecraft kid. Yes, so this is a story from the subscriber who we're going to call Sam, when he was younger many years ago, when he kind of believed that physics worked like they did in Minecraft. And obviously he doesn't think this anymore, and it's kind of like a funny, embarrassing story to look back on. But anyways, this all happened many, many years ago when Minecraft was kind of first gaining its initial wave of popularity. So back in the days of Sky Does Minecraft, Captain Sparkles, Herobrine Legend, the Ether mod or the Aether, whatever it's called, all that good stuff, kind of like the good old days of Minecraft, right? So this kid, and we're going to call him Sam, but Sam many years ago, right? He was, it was during the summer, it was fun, he was playing a ton of Minecraft with his friends, and it was just good old time. And, he was going off to his first ever kind of sleepaway summer camp type thing, which for him, even though he was kind of young, his parents always, his parents were sent off to sleepaway camp pretty early on and wilderness camp. So they thought it would be a good idea for him too as well. Anyways, right, so, Sam is dropped off by his parents, and, the people at the sleepaway kind of wilderness camp are like, oh, welcome, to the camp or whatever. We're so excited to have you. Here's your cabin, etc. They put him in a group. They put him with people. And the thing is, right, Sam in his head felt like he had been training. In his mind, he has been training for this for the longest time. What do I mean by training by this or for this? What I mean is that he has been playing Minecraft, not just normal Minecraft. He's not been playing creative mode, man. He's not been a softie. He's been playing survival mode, aka he can survive in the wilderness because he plays Minecraft. To be fair, man, when I was in second grade or whatever, I had similar logic. So I can't blame him, but I don't know. This is kind of funny. Anyways, right? So, Sam is, meeting all of his, his friends for the week or whatever. And for their first kind of like get to know each other adventure type thing that they're doing, they made a kind of a knapsack. And it's like, just because like at the end of the week, they had kind of a big camp, like kind of like a excursion type event where they would go and they would actually camp out. Anyways, when they were building these kind of like knapsacks to be able to put stuff in, just was kind of like a fun first type thing that they're building to like get to know each other. The Minecraft kid, who we're not even going to call the Minecraft kid, we're just going to call him Sam. And I just, because this is the first time that Sam, the subscriber, or the subscriber happens to also be the Minecraft kid. So if I say the Minecraft kid, the subscriber, or Sam, they're all interchangeable and they all mean the same thing. Anyways, right, so Sam was getting to know these people, and they were talking about, like, their wilderness experience or whatever, and Sam explained to this one person that he had plenty of wilderness experience, and he just simply did not elaborate. Because if he did elaborate, he probably would have been clowned on, saying that, like, yeah, I play a lot of Minecraft, man. I know exactly what the woods are like. Like, you can trust me, man. I know exactly what I'm doing. Anyways, right, so the next day rolls around, and it's their first kind of like mini group activity besides the one that they had the night before, which is really just kind of like an icebreaker. And in this mini group activity, they had to go create a lean-to. I think that's what it's called. It's where you like lean a bunch of sticks against another stick, so it's like you can, I guess, if you're in the middle of the woods at night or whatever, you can like sleep under it, and the sticks that are leaning up against the big log or the other tree or whatever that they're leaning up against, they kind of protect you from the elements. And I guess this is kind of like a good thing to know if you're actually in the woods and you need to do something like that. But anyways, right, so they were broken up into a couple groups to accomplish, just so it's like everyone could have a bit more hands-on, because if it was a big group of like 50 people doing one of these, you'd probably get like one or two sticks down and probably not get a lot of experience and not really doing it, so they broke them up into smaller groups. But anyways, right, the subscriber was on or Sam was on the stick collection team, because they kind of like when they broke up into teams, there was like a couple people that kind of made themselves the leaders, and they delegated people to stick collection or construction. Those were kind of the two categories. And Sam was on stick collection, right? So anyways, they were gathering up all the sticks or whatever, and while they were instructed not to, break any branches to get more sticks, at the end of the day, there weren't a lot of sticks to go around. So Sam was like, you know what, this tree isn't going to mind a branch or two. So Sam would go off and like break a branch and like take it back or whatever. And then he went off with another person, and, the other person was like, they saw some sticks on the ground. So the other person kind of like bent down to grab some sticks. And Sam saw like a mini tree in front of them that appeared to be dead. So he's like, oh, let me just break this tree and get the sticks. However, right, there was like a person in front of him, in front of the tree, and I don't know, logically, one would believe that like if you were to break the tree, that it's going to fall. And if you're gonna like smash a tree in the direction of the person, bro, that the tree's gonna fall on the person. That would make sense. However, when you play countless amounts of Minecraft, you kind of just like forget about gravity for a second, apparently. So anyways, right, Sam kind of kicks the tree over, and it's a very small tree, so it can easily be broken, right? As opposed to punching it, he decides to kick it just to make it easier, right? And okay, objectively, he understands how gravity works. However, in his mind, he just wasn't thinking, and for some reason, he defaulted to, oh, trees will float. Yeah, no, you heard me right. So, right, sure enough, Sam kicks over the tree, and sure enough, the tree breaks, and sure enough, reality exists, and the tree fell forward onto the guy in front of him. It was a very small tree. It was kind of the equivalent of a branch, but the kid in front of him is like, ow, like, why would you do that? And Sam just exclaims, without even really thinking about it, I'm sorry, I thought the tree would float. And the kid just gets up and gives him this look, and then walks away. And obviously Sam, after saying that, is like, oh, that sounds stupid. And he doesn't really think anything much of it. But anyways, time goes on, and it's a couple days later, and it's another, for some reason, they need to gather wood again. And they're assigned to the same place. So if you remember, I literally just said it, a couple days ago, they had to basically use all the sticks in the area. However, the camp counselors were not like prepared for this, and they had a pretty like strict regimen of what they had to do. So they kind of assigned the kids to do, you know, a project that involved a lot of sticks. I don't know if they're making another lean-to, or they're making like kind of like a tent type thing out of sticks, or they needed to gather sticks. They needed sticks for some reason. So anyways, right, the kids, you know, they were sent off to get sticks, and like they weren't finding any sticks. So they're like, all right, like I know we're not supposed to do this, but I think we're gonna have to break down some of these trees. So anyways, right, Sam, he finds a tree, and unlike the other tree that he was able to kick over and thought that like would float for some reason, this time he realizes the trees don't float. He is evolved from that point. But the thing is, though, Sam is still in the mindset of punching trees is how you get wood, because he had never actually seen like someone like chop wood with an axe except in TV, and he had played so much Minecraft that had kind of like fallen out of his mind. So all he thought of like, oh, when people want wood, they punch it, they kick it, they headbutt it or whatever. That's how normal people get wood. So, you know, there was another tree, and this one was much bigger than the one that Sam kicked over. It was also a lot more alive. It was thicker. Like, it was just like a totally different beast, right? And so anyways, right, Sam goes up to it in front of everyone. He's like, all right, guys, I got this. Makes his fist into a ball and straight out punches it. And instantly, right, Sam's fist is in pain. He's like, ah! And everyone around him is like, dude, why would you do that? Like, why would you just punch that tree? He's like, dude, I was just trying to get wood. And they kind of looked at him like, bro, that's not how you get wood. What are you talking about? And apparently, right, one of the kids actually told on Sam to the counselor, not just to the fact that he was like trying to like break an actual tree, because I think everyone was trying to do that, but just the fact that he tried to straight up punch a tree. And one of the counselors had to come to him after the fact and say, hey man, like, we don't want you to hurt yourself. Like, don't go around punching trees, as if that was something like, I'm sure the counselor like was just thinking in his head like, man, I'm not paid enough for this, bro. Like, I'm simply not paid enough for this. And there was one final thing that Sam, after being embarrassed basically twice, Sam had one more like just complete logical fallacy based on Minecraft physics that this one people were actually pretty angry at him for, and it was pretty funny. But before that happens, if you made it this far into the video, I'd like you to comment Minecraft down below. Maybe even comment it like 3 or 4 times if you're super cool. I'll try and slap a few hearts on those comments. And if you haven't already done so, consider subscribing to the channel. You can always unsubscribe later. And also, if you are subscribed, make sure those notifications are turned on, because you probably won't see my videos anyways. And finally, right, let's actually see what Sam did. So on the second to last day, they had a really large, it was like a very big hike. It was kind of like their crown jewel event. It was the big deal, because the next day they were going to be picked up. And anyways, right, so the hike was basically all day, and everyone was given 1 water bottle and also 1 lunch bag. And so this day happened to be a pretty hot day. I mean, nothing the camp counselors can do. Sometimes, man, it's just the weather, it just doesn't go with your favor. These things happen, right? So it's a pretty hot day out today. And, you know, when it's hot outside, you get thirsty and you want to drink more water, right? But anyways, right, so it was getting hot out there. And, you know, Sam was walking with a group of his friends, or his friends for the time being, probably not his friends for that much longer after what's about to go down, but you're about to hear what that is. So anyways, people are like, they're looking at their water bottles, and they're either halfway through, 2/3 of the way through. They all collectively don't have a ton of water, right? So they're all like, man, like, we're only like 2 hours into this hike. We got the rest of the day to go, and we're almost out of water. Like, we're super thirsty. We've already talked to the camp counselor. There's not any more water that we can get. Like, this totally sucks. Like, what's going on? And anyways, right, Sam, in his infinite wisdom, his Minecraft wisdom, he said, oh, guys, this is, like, super easy. Like, don't worry about this. Like, just give me your water. I promise you, I'll be able to refill it. And they all kind of look at him. Because here's the thing. This is their only water bottle. Honestly, the camp counselors should have packed them more water. They should have at least had some water stops, because it's so hot out. But anyways, that's irrelevant to the situation because at the end of the day, they didn't, right? They only had one water bottle. And Sam, their new friend, was claiming that if they gave him the limited water supply that they had left, that he would be able to magically grant them, more water. But the thing is, right, they were just kids. I mean, they were kids, right? And they wanted more water. And their new friend that they had all this faith in claimed that he alone could get them more water, right? Sure, okay, I want more water. Let's see what Sam does. So Sam takes like 5 people's water bottles and he's like, all right, guys, let me show you this little trick I learned when studying to be good in the wilderness. And Sam kind of like, he finds kind of a hole in the dirt and digs it a little more so it's like a perfectly round hole. And what he ends up doing is he takes everyone's water and just pours it into the hole. And everyone's like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, bro, relax. You're going to be thanking me by the end of this. And he's like, so you see this? This is a 2x2 hole. The fact that it's now totally full with water means we have an infinite water supply. Like I can you can keep drinking from this again and again, and it's just going to replenish itself. If you don't know, in Minecraft, if you dig a 2x2 or maybe it's just 3x3, I kind of forget, hole, and you put water in it and you put like 4 source blocks of water, it's an infinite water source. But just a little spoiler, in reality, that's just not the case, bro. That's just not how life works. So Sam's like, all right, I'll watch. Like, you guys seem like you're mad. You're going to be, like, thanking me so much. So what Sam does is he, like, takes one of the water bottles and he's, like, scoops up some of the water in there. And first of all, the water is completely dirty at this point. Like, no one's going to be drinking it in the first place. But also, when Sam scoops up the water, it doesn't replenish. It does not replenish. Like, it doesn't, like, magically turn back to, like, more water. And also, at the same time, the water is being absorbed by the ground at a really fast rate. It's probably been, like, a third of it's already been absorbed at this point. So Sam looks up. He's like, I don't know what happened here. Like, did I not dig this deep enough? And everyone's like, bro, why would you pour the water away? And Sam's like, it was supposed to be an infinite water source. I don't know what happened. And they're all like, bro, this isn't Minecraft. And Sam looks at them and he's like, what? Because Sam knew that this wasn't Minecraft. But like in Minecraft, if you plant seeds, they grow wheat. That is something that actually happens. If you like stab chickens, you get like chicken meat and feathers. Like, that actually happens. He assumed that if you got enough water and did some magical like physics to it, like you put it in like a special hole, it would just regenerate. Because like, why not? And everyone was just like, bro, you cannot be serious, bro. Subscribe if you haven't already. And now if you're bored, go watch another video. It'll really help out the channel. Thank you very much. Bye. Today's story is about when the subscriber who sent in this story convinced his younger brother and his friends that Siren Head was real and then pulled a massive prank on them, and it was quite funny. Leave a like in the video to claim your free nothing, subscribe, and let's jump right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber Owen. I got that name from the comment section down below, so leave a name in the comments you want me to use. Anyways, right, so this all happened because Owen wanted to get revenge on his little brother, and his little brother, we're going to call him Steve, but I might just refer to him as the little brother. Anyways, right, so a couple days ago, Steve did something against the subscriber Owen that made Owen pretty mad. So essentially, right, Owen had a pretty decently large schoolwork assignment that he had to do, and the family only had one computer that they kind of all used. And essentially, right, Steve decided to kind of hog the computer for the entire day, playing Minecraft the entire time, when Owen really just needed to get on for a little bit to just, to finish up a Word document or whatever to, turn into school. And for some reason, right, Steve was just not letting him get on, and, Steve and Owen's parents were out for a little bit, so they weren't able to, kick Steve off, and Steve would refuse to, to let Owen on even for a second. And for that reason, right, Owen was only able to get on and, edit his Word document for school only for a little bit, very late at night. And for that reason, the document wasn't that good, and Owen didn't get the greatest grade that he wanted, and probably not as good of a grade that he would have gotten if he was able to get on earlier. So for that reason, right, Owen is pretty upset, Owen is pretty mad, and he wants to get revenge against Steve, his little brother. And, Owen's like a couple years older, and I think Owen's in like 4th grade or whatever, Steve might be in 2nd or 1st. But anyways, right, Owen knows that Steve is having friends over in a couple days, so he sits down in his room and thinks to himself, I gotta pull a prank on Owen, or on Steve. I gotta get him back somehow. Anyways, right, so Owen the subscriber was sitting in his room, and he's thinking to himself, I need to get back at Steve, I need to figure out a way. And he was sitting there, and then a little bit of an idea started to cross his mind. He remembered that he saw not too long ago on the internet this urban legend of the Siren Head. Basically, if you don't know, it's like this big, scary monster thing that appears and makes this very distinctive sound. If you want to go look it up, that's totally up to you. I don't want to play it if it's too scary for you guys. But anyways, right, it's a pretty cool internet legend, but it's also a pretty scary one as they go. And Owen was sitting there. He's like, why did I think of this? Why did my brain make me think of oh, I should think of this for the prank or whatever. And then it came to Owen. He knew exactly what he needed to do. Step 1 was wait, because he had to wait until Steve had his friends over. And also, while he was waiting, set up the proper equipment and get together the story for part 2. Next, part 2. When Steve and his friends come over, casually start talking about Siren Head to them, and then kind of convince them that Siren Head is real. And even if they aren't totally convinced that Siren Head is real, and they're like, oh, you're just messing with us, at least remind them or make sure that they know what his distinctive sound sounds like, so that when they hear that sound, they'll be alerted. Step 3, wait until very late at night. Because one thing that, Owen knew was that his parents were not going to be back for quite a while, right? Even though, kids were coming over, sleeping over at the house. For some reason, all the parents were okay with them kind of just chilling there. I mean, I can't really explain that part of the story, but it is what it is. So basically, right, make it late at night so they've all gone to bed, but before the parents get back. And during that time period, sneak out of bed. I mean, he'll be sleeping in a different room than the other kids in the sleepover, right? Kind of quietly get out of bed and then play the siren song, like the Siren Head song. It's very distinctive. It's very creepy. If you've not already listened to it, you can go ahead and listen to it if you want to. But anyways, right, that was the plan to prank them, and let's see if it actually worked out. So anyways, right, Steve and his friends, a couple days later, Steve has his friends over, and at this point, right, they're kind of sitting at the kitchen table. Their mom made pizza, pre-made or whatever. Speaking of pizza, I'm pretty hungry, but the mom made pizza beforehand just so that they'd have something to eat when they got back, because his mom was out for the moment. And they're sitting there, and Owen casually drops oh, you guys know what Siren Head is? Some of them, shake their head no. A few of them nod their head yes, and they're like, oh, it's that thing on the internet or whatever. And Owen is like, oh, it's not just a thing on the internet, right? It's actually, legit. And one of the kids is very convinced. He's like, oh, are you serious? And the other one's like, no, dude, it's obviously fake. It's it's online. It's just an internet meme. And, so Owen has kind of predicted this. Owen was aware that they probably wouldn't have just been convinced just by the fact of him saying, oh, Siren Head is real, especially if they knew there was an internet meme. And Owen, turned to the guys, and he's like, I thought that was I felt the same way before. He's like, I saw it on the internet, I thought it was kind of spooky, but I didn't think much more of it until my friend. Do you remember Ben? Once again, I'm just using Ben as it's. If you've been on the channel for a while, Ben is the name I use whenever I don't have a name. So he's like, remember my friend Ben? And essentially, right, Steve and his friends kind of nodded, because Ben was, one of Owen's friends back in the day, but Ben had to move way across the country. And, Owen was looking at them. He's like, Ben and I talked a couple days ago, and he was telling me about how out in the country, because he was kind of in the countryside, a lot more they were living in more of a city, or Ben moved to the countryside, and Owen was like, he was telling me about some stuff that was happening out there. And he said that, one night he was walking out in the fields, and he was kind of late. He was out just kind of like messing around, playing out there, because he used to be in the city too, because he lived where, Owen was living. And Ben was having some fun exploring the countryside, but he also let time kind of slip away. And if you guys don't know, when the sun sets really quickly, and it was getting dark. And Owen looks at them. He's like, and then he said that, he heard this sound, the siren sound. And it was kind of this long, monotonous wailing that kind of, he heard it before. And that's when he realized that it sounded just like something he saw online. And he got really freaked out, because that's a pretty scary sound to hear when it's getting dark out late at night. And he's like, oh, wow, like, I'm kind of freaking out. Like, so right, Ben, he starts running back. And as he's running back home, he makes a wrong turn, and he finds himself in this, like, a big abandoned field or whatever. And, he looks out in the distance, and it's a very flat field. In the middle of the country, there's a lot of kind of flat terrain. And he looks very far down, and he sees on the horizon this big, long, lanky figure that had kind of this siren head and had to be at least 50, 60 feet tall. Of course, right, Ben immediately ran in the other direction, and after, like, a lot of panicked running, he eventually found his way home. And let me just say, Ben did not go wandering after dark after that time. So Owen finished up telling that story, which, if you don't know, that story was, he fabricated it to make it more believable. And the one kid who was, like, kind of snarky and, like, he's obviously an internet thing, this kid was still like, yeah, right, I think your friend Ben is just trying to mess with you. But obviously, the other kids were, like, really, like they're all shaken and, like, oh my God, they all look kind of nervous. And even the kid that was, like, putting on a front about being like, yeah, man, that's obviously fake. Truth is, he was also pretty scared and rattled by the story. Even if he wasn't 100% convinced by it, let me just say that if he was to, and I'm not saying he does, wink wink, but if he was to hear the siren head noise later that night, right, like when it was like 11 o'clock and it's all dark outside, yeah, he might have been a little bit scared, even if he didn't believe in it, quote unquote, So anyways, right, on to part 2, the actual prank. Real quick, drop a like and then comment siren head down below. That's kind of the secret word of the day. I just like seeing how many people made it this far, and I'll try and heart a bunch of those comments. So yeah, comment siren head, and maybe even comment it 1 or 2 times just to make it like easier or more likely that I'll see it and give you a heart. Anyways, back to part 2 of the story, which is the actual prank. Anyways, right, so Owen doesn't say anything else about siren head for the rest of the night, as he doesn't want to make it seem suspicious, right? Because he already had a pretty big like spiel about it. He doesn't want to make it seem like he's trying to pull a prank or like set up for a prank or whatever. And Steve and his friends have like a decently good night, and yeah, eventually they get tired around 10:30, and they go to their bed, they turn off the lights. However, right, when Owen went back to his room, he turned off the lights to make it seem convincing, but what he actually did was he snuck out of his room and began to prepare for the massive prank. So essentially, right, Owen gets out of his bed, sitting in there for like 10 minutes or so, goes into his closet as quietly as possible, and gets out a speaker. He goes in, pairs the speaker with his phone, and as quietly as possible, walks downstairs, and then walks down to the basement. He goes into the basement, and he places the speaker down there, make sure that the lights are kind of like, has a kind of a hidden place, but he kind of knows that if scary sounds are coming from the basement, bro, no one is investigating that. No one is investigating the basement, dude. That's the last place they're going to go. But anyways, right, he puts the speaker in the basement and makes sure his phone is still connected and walks upstairs. You might be thinking, oh, what if his phone disconnects? He actually tested it the day before. That was part of part 1, making sure that everything worked. And sure enough, for some reason, right, maybe the way his house was like the walls were thin enough, or his phone was good enough, or some combination of the two, his phone stayed connected even when he went back into his room. And so he goes back into his room, shuts his door quietly, locks it, sits in bed, and then goes to his phone and gets up a file. I don't know if it's on Spotify, SoundCloud, if he downloaded a file or something. And sure enough, right, the siren head sounds, the really creepy ones that like he was talking about earlier in that fake story he told to like kind of like prep them for the siren head or whatever. He had a copy of that, and sure enough, he played it. And so, like, it wasn't super blaring loud because it was from the basement, but it was loud and clear enough that, they could hear exactly what was going on. So, right, Steve and his friends were asleep, but they were starting to wake up. Owen was sitting in his room and he heard, like Steve and his friends from his room start to whisper, start to talk, and they were like, oh my God, what is that? What's that noise? Like, what are we hearing, right? And sure enough, right, Owen is sitting in his bed, kind of like pretending to be asleep as he hears his door slam open. And Steve is like, Owen, what's going on? And Owen kind of like gets up, pretends to be extra groggy as if he was just awoken from like a pretty good nap. And Owen's like, man, what are you talking about? And Steve's like, listen, I think it's the siren head you were talking about earlier. I didn't want to believe you. I didn't want to believe your friend, but I think he's telling the truth. I think siren head is in our basement. So it's Steve and Steve's friends, all standing in Owen's room, and Owen pretends to be extra brave and is like, all right, I'll go down and investigate. Like, I'll get to the bottom of this. So Owen starts confidently walking down the stairs towards the source of the noise. And sure enough, right, it was getting louder and louder as they got close to the basement. And Steve was like, don't go down there. I don't know what's down there. And Owen's like, don't worry about it. I'm just going to go check it out. And sure enough, Owen opens the door to the basement, walks down it, and like slams the door. And like, Steve and his friends were kind of confused. And at that point, Owen starts going, Steve, help me. As if like, I don't know, Siren Head was trying to get him or something. So at this point, right, Steve and his friends are like, ah. So eventually, like, Steve is trying to figure out, like, do we run? Do we do something? And Steve's like, I can't let him. We have to go down. So sure enough, Steve and his friends go down there and they start venturing down. The basement is completely like dark. And, because the thing is, the light switch is in a really unfortunate position. The light switch is all the way down in the basement, which is like just kind of like crappy design. But like, hey, man, not much you can do. So they're going down into the dark basement with the sounds of Siren Head as loud as they possibly could be. And no sound of Owen, no sighting of Owen. And Steve and his friends are just down there and they're kind of like cowering. And then all of a sudden, bah! Owen jumps out. He's like, gotcha. Next time, don't hog the computer, bro. Subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a like on the video and then click one of the 4 videos on screen right now if you want to support the channel. Bye. Today we got a story time of a Minecraft kid who thought Endermen were real and did a presentation on them in front of everyone in class. The teacher's reaction to this was actually hilarious. Leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing, subscribe, and let's get right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber who sent in today's story, we're going to call him Ethan. I got the name from the comment section. Anyways, right, so Ethan, he was in 2nd grade, and his class was doing a presentation on any animal of their choice from the prehistoric era. So that means, I don't know, you got your dinosaurs, you got your whatever, right? Any kind of like dinosaur type animal. And the thing was, right, the teacher probably made a bit of a mistake because the teacher did not vet like what animal you chose. Obviously, like the teacher taught an entire unit on like dinosaurs and pterodactyls, all those types of animals, right? And he kind of just at the end of the unit, he wanted to have kind of like a fun presentation type thing where you would choose an animal and then you would go ahead and do your own research. This was like the first kind of project that these kids ever had where they had to, go ahead and do their own research online. This was very recent. So, this wasn't many years ago when online was a lot harder and a lot more, obscure. And they had access to computers at the library during class period for, the next couple class periods. Or they could also do research at home, but if they didn't have access to a computer at home, they had access to one at the library. But anyways, right, the teacher did not vet which animals they chose. And there was a kid in Ethan's class, and he was the Minecraft kid. He did nothing but play Minecraft all day. And bro, I'm just saying Minecraft is not a bad game at all. I mean, look at the gameplay I have in the background of this video. The game is obviously fire. And the Minecraft kid, we're going to call him Jeff. Also got that name from the comment section, so leave a name you want me to use in the comments down below. But anyways, right, Jeff played a lot of Minecraft. And the thing was, right, Jeff believed that a lot of what was in Minecraft was actually real. I don't know about you, but for a little bit of time, I believed that dragons really did exist because I would hear about knights, I would hear about like medieval castles, which I knew also existed, and then I heard about dragons, and I just thought that they went extinct. So, hey man, I don't really blame Jeff, like especially since he was in second grade. He was playing Minecraft, and in Minecraft, there are skeletons. Skeletons really do exist. There are cows, there are chickens, and there also happen to be Endermen. He just thought Endermen existed at an earlier time, and that they were like exist in the prehistoric era, and that they must have went extinct with the dinosaurs. And the thing is, right, Ethan, the subscriber, wouldn't have known this before the fact, except for the fact that the teacher, had, a couple days before that they were done with the presentations, the teacher, decided to mix things up and have them get into small groups. And he kind of said the names randomly, and, the names happen to be Ethan, Jeff, you two are in a group. So Ethan and Jeff, Ethan the subscriber and Jeff the Minecraft kid, they both go off to a table and they sit down. And the instructions were basically to talk about the animal or the dinosaur animal, whatever you chose, and just kind of like, I don't know, say what you've done so far, talk about what you want to do, and kind of just have a little conversation. Anyways, right, so Ethan and Jeff, they go around, they sit in the group, and then they start talking. And Ethan is the first one to talk, and he's doing, I don't know, a pterodactyl or something. And look, man, it's been a while since I've done my prehistoric history, so I can't tell you any specific details. But Ethan essentially explains the details he's learned so far, says what else he wants to learn, and then kind of explains how he's going to do his presentation. And anyways, right, Jeff starts talking about the dinosaur or the animal from the prehistoric period that he wanted to cover. And, as Ethan was sitting there listening to what Jeff was saying, he was kind of like doing a double take, bro. Like, Ethan was looking at Jeff like, did this kid just say what I thought he said? Because Jeff said, so I'm doing the Enderman and these things about, and then starts to list off information that he probably got from like Minecraft Wiki. Because like the thing is, dude, you can go on and, the information you're supposed to get online, and like he probably looked up Enderman facts and got it from the Minecraft Wiki. By the way, I used to be on the Minecraft Wiki like for like 6 hours a day when I was like in 5th grade, bro. Like that was my place. But anyways, right, Ethan was just looking at him. And he's like, Jeff, are you sure you can do that? And Jeff looks at him like, yeah, don't worry, I'm sure. Like, just no question about it. Like, yeah, no, of course, what are you even talking about? And so Ethan kind of looks at Jeff and is like, all right, bro, like, fair enough, I guess. Like, that's fine, fair enough. Like, okay, sure. And Ethan in his head is just like, all right, this kid is going to get absolutely destroyed if he does a presentation on this in front of everyone. Like, no shot he's actually going to do it. Like, he has to be bluffing. He has to be bluffing, man. And anyways, right, sure enough, the time comes. Let's just skip right towards the day of the presentation, because that's when stuff gets really juicy. So the day of the presentation is when everything goes down, and basically it hits the fan, if you know what I mean. Real quick, though, if you made it this far into the video, comment Enderman down below. I'm going to try and heart a bunch of people that comment Enderman, but honestly, I've just been struggling to heart everyone's comments. So if you want a better chance of getting a heart, comment it like 3 to 4 times down below. And even if you don't get a heart, just know I still do appreciate you watching this far. I'm just kind of busy. And also, if you do want to send in a story, send it to my Instagram, which is on screen, or just follow me there, because like that would be nice. Anyways, let's get to the actual day. What is going to happen when Jeff does a presentation on Enderman in front of the entire class? And this is like a very big part of his grade, by the way. This is like the big final assessment. But anyways, right, today is the day. Today is the day of the presentations. Everyone's sitting there. They're all kind of nervous because like this is kind of like a big deal. So Ethan is not really thinking about Jeff and his Enderman presentation at all because he has to think about his own. And people are going up there. And some people have a little poster, some people have like a very simple slideshow. Remember, this is second grade. No one's doing anything crazy. No one's coming in with like a 50-page research paper, that was confirmed by like a PhD board. Like, no. This very simple stuff, but obviously when you're in second grade, the simple stuff takes you a long time and you feel pretty proud of it. But eventually, Ethan hears his name getting called. And Ethan goes up there. Ethan has like a 3-point slideshow with photos and a bunch of bullet points. And by the end of Ethan's presentation, everyone's clapping. The teacher's a big smile on his face. And Ethan's feeling good. And Ethan has this like feeling of like, oh man, like I feel so good, man, because like the thing is, this was like the last big presentation or the last big thing they had to do for the entire year. So Ethan was low-key done. It was like the feeling when you have like a big exam and you're just done with it and you know you're just done. And it's basically going to be fun stuff and then summertime, which means there's more fun stuff. So Ethan was sitting there feeling really good. Like life is this good right now. And he starts to like think and he's like, wait a minute. Jeff hasn't gone yet. I wonder if he does that Enderman presentation. That would be, he's not going to do that, man. Ethan's kind of sitting there, kind of like, he's still on that happy high, and he's like, oh, that's so funny, man. Like, no shot he actually does that. And eventually he's sitting there, and it's Jeff's turn to go up, and he watched Jeff walk up. And Jeff was doing a slideshow presentation, so Ethan's like, no way he actually does a presentation on Enderman. Right? And sure enough, right, Ethan's sitting there, and Jeff goes up to the board, gets up his presentation, and he opens up the first slide, and there's a photo, a screenshot from Minecraft of Endermen, and there's a big title saying Endermen. Where did they come from? What are their characteristics? And Jeff just starts talking, man. He's like, all right, so I'm doing the Endermen. And so the Endermen starts going on about information. And Ethan immediately looks around the class. And everyone's faces are just like in complete shock. Because like, okay, some people didn't actually know what Endermen were. Some like, I don't know, some people didn't play Minecraft. But a lot of people at this point were very aware of what Endermen were. And they were also quite aware that, dude, these are video game creatures. And the thing is, right, in a lot of cases, the teacher just wouldn't know what this was. However, the teacher had a son who was like, I don't know, 7 years old, significantly younger than the kids here. And the teacher would play Minecraft with his son, which honestly sounds really sick. When I'm a dad, I'm definitely going to be playing, so I'm going to be rocking some Minecraft with my kids. Like, I don't care, even if they don't want to, they're playing Minecraft with me. No question about it. No, I'm just kidding. But the teacher knew what an Enderman was because he played Minecraft with his son. So the teacher's just looking at, like, Jeff with this kind of look of complete confusion. And, Jeff is like, switches to the next slide, and he's like, all right, so here's some fun facts about the Endermen. So they actually have an ability to teleport, and everyone at this point, like, some of the girls are just laughing, because, like, even if they don't know what Minecraft is, when they hear, like, this big creature can teleport, they're like, bro, what? What are you saying? And anyways, so the teacher's, like, interrupts him. He's like, Jeff, what are you doing? And Jeff just has this, like, is really thrown off guard. And Jeff just looks at the teacher like, what do you mean? I'm doing my presentation. And, the teacher is starting to realize that Jeff is not trying to be some funny guy here. And the teacher's just like, Jeff, we have to do a presentation on a creature from the prehistoric period. And Jeff's like, yeah, I'm doing a presentation on a creature that went extinct and was probably around during the prehistoric period. And the teacher has the most interesting reaction. The teacher says, okay, continue on. Which some of you guys might have been thinking, oh, the teacher's definitely going to clown on this guy. However, right, the teacher just lets him go. And Ethan is, like, completely, like, taken aback. He has no idea, like, why. And Ethan's so confused. And, Jeff ends the presentation, and the teacher starts clapping, and everyone kind of confusingly claps as well. And they just have no idea, like, what is going on. And, at the end, so more people go, right? It's a fun day. And by the end of the day, right, Ethan, goes up to the teacher when everyone leaves the classroom, says, hey, can I talk to you for a second? So Ethan goes up to the teacher, and the teacher's like, yes, Ethan, like, what do you want to know? And he says, oh, by the way, great presentation. And Ethan's like, oh, thank you. I just had a question about Jeff's presentation. And the teacher looks at him, and he's like, all right, I think I know your question is. And Ethan just kind of looks back, and the teacher says, yes. Jeff did a presentation on Endermen, which, I know what they are. I play Minecraft with my son. I know that they're not real. However, Ethan, I don't think that Jeff did this maliciously. I think he genuinely believed that these creatures exist during the time. And even if he did research on a fictional creature, it's very apparent that he put in a lot of work. He put in as much, if not more, work than everyone else. And it just happened to be that the information that he learned was not true. Ethan, if you think about the assignment, what did I want you guys to do? I wanted you to pick a creature, learn about it on your own, and then make a presentation organizing what you learned, and then present it in front of everyone. Jeff checked off all those boxes. It just happened to be that, he was misled with the information that he got. I'm not going to punish him for that. And Ethan just looks at him like, oh, wow, okay. And, the teacher's like, you know what? You don't need to tell Jeff about this. He'll probably find out on his own. But all you need to know, Ethan, is you did a great job today. You'll be getting a great grade, and we'll be having a lot of fun for the rest of the semester. Subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a like, and then click on one of the 4 videos on screen right now, or just go and watch another video to support the channel. Today we got a story time of a Minecraft kid who thinks SCP-096 is out to get him. Leave a like in the video to claim your free nothing, subscribe, and let's get right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber who sent in today's story, we're going to call him Ryan. Anyways, this all happened on one Friday night. Ryan was playing some Minecraft, as he usually did. And, he was playing some doubles in Minecraft or whatever, and he was just queuing with random people. It also just happened to be kind of like a rainy and stormy night out, and it was getting dark kind of early. It was that time of the year, and kind of the atmosphere was just a little bit spooky. But anyways, right, Ryan was playing some Minecraft doubles, and he was just queuing with random people who wanted to play with him. And, normally, right, people would sometimes just quit immediately. Some people would, not be very good. Some people would talk to him and be nice. But then there was this one guy who queued with him. And there was just something strange about his username. And, Ryan doesn't exactly remember his username, but he just remembers that something about, this guy's username just made him feel a little uneasy. And it was like when Ryan was sitting in the generator getting resources. If you don't know, in Bed Wars, right, you try and protect your bed, and you also get, gold and iron and stuff to, you can sit in your bed to get gold and iron, and, you get resources to get blocks or whatever. Kind of irrelevant to the story. But when, Ryan was sitting there getting resources to build a protection for his bed, this player that queued with him would just be staring at him. His character would just be staring at his character. It was just very weird. It was just very strange. It was just a little bit creepy. And anyways, right after the game, Ryan and this guy actually won. No one else in the party or no one else playing that round of Bed Wars was very good. And Ryan was pretty good. And the guy he was playing with was actually surprisingly decent for, a random person he queued with who was acting kind of strange. He was surprisingly pretty good at the game. And anyways, right before Ryan was about to hop into another Bed Wars queue to play again with another random person, he received a party request from this guy. And Ryan was thinking to himself, all right, that's, it's a little strange. This guy's a little weird, but he's also pretty good. I would like to win some more games. If you don't know, in this Minecraft mode, if you party with someone, that basically means that you can play with them or on the same team as them. And anyways, right, so Ryan, he accepted the party request because he's thinking to himself, all right, why not? And anyways, right, so Ryan was about to go, and he asked, oh, do you want to play another game? Because in the party, you can, chat with each other. He's like, oh, do you want to play a game? We make a pretty good team, haha. And the guy who he teams with doesn't respond right away. And Ryan's just a little bit weirded out by that. He's like, okay, this is a little bit strange. I don't understand. And then he gets a message in the party chat from the other guy, and it says, do you want to know the truth? And at this point, right, Ryan was feeling a little freaked out. He was feeling a little weirded out. He was a little uncomfortable with what was going on, but at the same time, right, he was just kind of randomly playing Minecraft on a Friday night just because he was kind of bored. And this definitely felt like this would, either scare him, maybe, but it would most definitely cure his boredom. So we responded, yeah, sure, what's up? So after a second of waiting, the guy that, Ryan had queued with responded, do you know the legend of SCP-096? At this point, right, Ryan was, somewhat, into, he was on the internet. He wasn't, not on the internet at this point. And the thing is, though, right, Ryan just didn't know anything about, creepypastas and, and anything like that. He didn't know about internet horror stories or whatever. So he had no idea about anything about SCP Foundation or any of the other SCPs. So he responded, no, I don't know what that is. So Ryan, responds, no, he doesn't know what that is. And, after a second of waiting, right, he finally gets the first message saying, message me on Discord. And then the random guy that Ryan queues with gives him his Discord at as well as his Discord like number, whatever, however you add people on Discord. By the way, I have a Discord server. You should join it in the description. Anyways, right. So he adds him on Discord, and Ryan is really interested at this point because he's like, I'm no longer bored, to say the least. Like, he's also aware of like stranger danger, and people on the internet are probably weirdos, so be careful. But at the same time, man, like, he wants something interesting in his life, dude. He wants something interesting happening, and this is the definition of something interesting. So anyways, after, a minute or two, Ryan eventually gets the ad back, and the guy starts typing. He's like, so, do you really want to know about the legend of SCP-096? And sure enough, Ryan is like, yeah, like, what is it? I don't know what that is. And the guy says, all right, let me give you a little bit of a backstory. And by the way, this backstory or this explanation of SCP-096 will not be exactly like whatever the relevant lore is, because this guy wanted to like alter like the internet legend a little bit just to scare Ryan a little bit more. So don't eviscerate me in the comment section. I'm just reading what I've been told over DM. By the way, if you want to submit a story, Instagram is in the description. That's how you submit them. Yeah. So this guy starts to explain over Discord to Ryan that SCP-096 is a monster that was captured by a special unit of the government, also known as, the SCP Foundation. And he said the only reason that he knows about this happening is because there was a leak of this on like the dark web or the dark internet. Basically, if you ever want to spook someone, to say, ooh, dark net, ooh, the deep web, and everyone's going to be like, ah, even though it's mostly just like databases and files, but whatever, right? He's like, there's a leak on the dark web. And I was one of the few that was able to see it. And apparently, right, the government is housing this creature. And along with the leak, there's an image. So he drops an image in chat, and it looks something along the lines of this. Obviously, he chooses an image that's a little bit less video gamey, but anyways, right, he puts the image in chat. He's like, the legend is, right, this creature, anyone who sees this creature's face, the creature will start to like scream and wallow or whatever, but then after about a minute or two of screaming, it'll just go on a destructive rampage, and he will destroy anyone who sees his face. And also, he makes this terrible high-pitched scream, while he's doing it. At this point, right, Ryan's starting to feel a little bit uncomfortable because, like, he has this sense that, like, this is, like, all fake or whatever. Because, I think Ryan's, like, I'm going to make the assumption he's, like, 12 or 13 at this point. So he has a feeling this is all fake, right? But at the same time, right, it's still a little odd. It's still a little bit creepy. And the guy that Ryan messages goes on to say, like, yeah, by the way, I forgot to let you know one thing. And Ryan's like, oh, what's that one thing? He said, anyone who sees his face at SCP-096 will be after. And Ryan's like, oh, okay, like, why did you have to specify that? You already said it. And the guy says, oh, yeah, by the way, it doesn't have to be his face in person. It can simply be a photo of his face. And at this point, right, Ryan is starting to, like, even though he doesn't totally believe this, he's starting to feel this kind of, like, feeling of, like, oh, my God. Like, and Ryan starts typing, and he's like, is the image you showed me, is that a real image? Real quick, comment SCP down below in the comment section so I can see who made it this far into the video. I'll be trying to heart as many comments as I can that comment SCP down below. But if you want a better chance of getting a heart, because I can't heart them all, comment it maybe 2 or 3 times. There's a better chance I'll see it and a better chance you'll get a heart. Even if you don't get a heart, just know I really do appreciate you watching. But anyways, right, so, Ryan types in the Discord chat, is this image like a real image of him? Because he's starting to realize that if what this guy is saying is true, which he's like, oh, I don't believe it, but if, right, he kind of does believe it at this point, but like, if what this guy is saying is true, like, he just showed him an image, right, of SCP-096. Like, this is basically a death sentence. And the guy Ryan was talking to on Discord responds, yes, ... Your time is limited. And at this point, Ryan's like, he's like, wait a minute. Why isn't your time limited? If you had this photo on your desktop and you sent it to me, that definitely means that, like, you saw this image. So Ryan thought, like, oh, I got him, ha ha ha, or whatever. And the guy responds, oh, you don't understand. I've never actually seen this image. I downloaded software that scrambles every picture of this image so that I will never actually see it. And after the guy says this, Ryan just has this weird sinking feeling. Like, he still doesn't totally believe it, but the story was, like, detailed and scary enough that, like, he was just feeling it. And at this point, Ryan, instead of, like, engaging anymore with this guy in Discord, he simply just unadds the guy in Discord, blocks him, logs on the Hypixel, removes the guy from his friends list, gets out of the party with him, just tries to disconnect from this guy, deletes the chat on Discord, like, just tries to forget about everything that, was happening. And for a while, right, Ryan was he just forgot about, like, the whole SCP-096 incident, right? He just didn't even think about it, because he was just, like, back on Bed Wars, just queuing random people, and, like, he didn't queue this guy again for, like, the rest of the night, so that's not what happens. However, right, if you do remember when the guy was explaining what happens, like, when the SCP guy goes on, like, a destructive rampage, he makes this, like, wailing sound, the screeching, screaming, wailing sound. And if you guys don't know, if you live with foxes, foxes will make this really loud, screeching, wailing sound late at night. And I know this because where I live, there's a ton of, like, foxes that roam around at night, and they make this, like, screaming sound. It actually was really scary the first time I heard it. And the thing is, right, where Ryan lived, there hadn't been foxes that lived there for years. So, like, Ryan, like, he does remember in retrospect that happened many years ago, but it took him a while to remember that. But anyways, in the moment, he was just sitting there playing some Bed Wars, playing some Minecraft, right? Just, like, chilling, having a pretty good time. And he's sitting there, and he's mid-game. He's just queued with some random guy. And he hears this screeching sound coming from outside. And the thing is, right, it's the sound of the foxes. However, he's not thinking about foxes. He's thinking about what this random guy on Discord told him about what the SCP-096 does when he's on his, like, destructive rampage and when he's coming for you. And it sounded exactly like that. And because of this, like, coincidence, right, this guy, like, was obviously going around trying to scare people, and there's not a chance he could have known that, like, this guy lived with foxes. It was just a really terrible coincidence, right? But the fact that, like, after seeing the image, and he hears the exact sound, the scary sound that he was told he was going to hear, Ryan just, like, freezes in his chair. And his heart starts racing so fast. And he just, like, gets out of his chair, goes to his door, slams it shut, locks it. And his mom is just, like, in the other room and is like, Ryan, is everything okay? And he's like, yep, everything's good. I'm good. And legitimately for the rest of the night, like, he didn't go to bed till, like, 5 in the morning when he just, like, could not stay up any later, right? He stayed in his room, lights on. He just sat up in his bed. He didn't even, like, lie down in his bed. He sat, like, straight up vertically in his bed for the entire night until he fell asleep forcefully at, like, 5 a.m. And when he woke up, he was, like, woke up in a panic because he was sure that, like, the SCP-096 was about to be right above him, right? And honestly, for the next couple weeks, like, Ryan was, like, terrified. After about 2 weeks, Ryan decided to face his fears and look online to see if there was any information about SCP-096, and that's when he realized the whole thing is like an internet joke or an internet hoax or whatever, and that yes, no, SCP-096 is not out to get him. Subscribe if you haven't already, drop a like on the video, and then go watch one of the 4 videos on screen right now, or go watch an old video. Either way, you'll support the channel. Thank you. Today we got a story time of a Minecraft kid who thought that golden apples actually existed, and he ended up writing an entire paper about them in his history class and presenting it to the entire class. It was pretty funny. Leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing, subscribe, and let's just jump right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber who sent in today's story, we're going to call him Brandon. I got that name from the comment section down below, so leave a comment of whatever name you'd like me to use in a future video. Anyways, right, Brandon was telling me a story of one time in his history class, this kid called Steven. Yes, Steven. He's the Minecraft kid for today's video. I'm just going to call him Steven. So this all happened during history class when they were learning about the Revolutionary War. For you who don't know, or maybe don't live in the United States, the United States used to be a colony of Britain, and then they broke free, and they fought a war for their independence. That's the quick version of what happened. But anyways, right, they were at this point in their schooling where they were learning about, the Revolutionary War, the independence of the United States, and they had a pretty large project, or at least a paper that they had to write about really any topic they wanted. There was a bit of freedom, but it had to do with the Revolutionary War, early, American colonies, life, or whatever. It was very broad, and the teacher was, going to be pretty accepting of multiple topics. And they were also just in fifth grade, so it was like, the expectations weren't crazy high. But let me just say the Minecraft kid found a way to slip below these somewhat low expectations. Anyways, right, so the paper was assigned, and it was write about any topic that had to do with the Revolutionary War. So the Minecraft kid, or we're just going to call Steven from this point on, had a brilliant idea. A brilliant idea. I mean, not really, but an interesting idea, to say the least. So the Minecraft kid had a few, or Steven, I'm just going to call him at this point. Steven had a few misconceptions about reality. And part of this was due to the amount of Minecraft he played and how part of Minecraft he thought was real. And the thing is, right, the logic isn't the worst ever because, look, at the end of the day, spiders do actually exist in the real world. Trees do actually exist in the real world. There's a lot of real world stuff in Minecraft. And the thing is, like, Steven knew that, I don't know, the Wither didn't actually exist in the real world. He also knew you couldn't punch trees. However, he had a few misconceptions about what in Minecraft wasn't actually true about the real world. And one of those misconceptions happened to be, golden apples as a source of healing. Yeah. And how do I say this without it being too awkward, bro? Well, I'll just cut to the chase. Steven was going to write a paper about how golden apples should have been used in the Revolutionary War to, like, reduce casualties. So Brandon, the subscriber, didn't know about this until one day before they were to present their papers in front of the entire class. They were assigned to small groups to read each other's papers and give a little bit of feedback. And Brandon was doing something about life in the colonies back in the day, something pretty standard. He read his paper, and Steven didn't really give that much feedback. He was like, "Oh, that sounds pretty good, bro." One thing about small groups I found is, like, the feedback is always like, "Nice, good stuff." It's like the least helpful feedback I've ever received. But anyways, right, eventually, Brandon's sitting there and he listens as Steven starts to talk about what he's doing. Anyways, Brandon sat there as Steven read him a paper about how both sides would have taken less casualties if they took advantage of the golden apple health feature in the real world. Like, if they employed, like, more golden apples for their healing. Because, Steven's logic was that, they were trying to limit, like, how much equipment they had, and they had to make a choice that, they could either bring muskets, food, whatever, that there's only so much they could have brought. And Steven was making an argument that they should have also brought golden apples because, they just do so much healing, and it would have been for a humanitarian reason, they should have brought the golden apples, right? And the thing is, Brandon, even though Brandon is in fifth grade, he knows a thing or two about a thing or two, he just realizes that this is ridiculous. However, Brandon, he concedes to me because he sent this to me over on Instagram, which is in the description, or just Connor Pugs. If you want to send in a story to me, actually, if you have a story, please send it in to me because, that's how I make these videos. He conceded to me on Instagram that, he should have stepped in. Brandon admits that he should have stepped in and said something. But Brandon, he says, "Oh, I like the paper, bro." And Brandon says, that's kind of a jerk move of him because he does know better, right? But Brandon was like, "I gotta see this. I gotta see him say it in front. Like, I need to be there when he reads this in front of everyone." And to be fair, man, I can't totally blame him, and it definitely made for a better story. So, low-key, Brandon, thank you for doing this because now I got a better story to tell on the channel. Anyways, it's finally the day. It is finally the time where they are to read their papers in front of everyone. Everyone at this point has polished up their papers, they've made it as good as possible, and they're all sitting there kind of nervously awaiting, saying, like, reading it out in front of everyone, because, public speaking's hard, man. It's hard to, like, read something you worked on, for a while in front of everyone. I get it. But the thing is, right, the ironic thing was that the person who seemed the most confident, as Brandon recalls, was Steven. He didn't even have no sweat, no worry, no, like, kind of like, I don't know. He just seemed like the most confident out of everyone going into this, which is pretty funny since he was writing a paper on golden apples. But anyways, right, Brandon goes up. He's actually the first one to speak. He's the first one to do his presentation. And Brandon says he does a pretty solid job. Is that actually the case? I don't know, man. I'm just telling you the story how I get it. But anyways, right, Brandon says, he does a pretty good job. More people go up, and all the presentations or the papers are pretty solid. Before Steven does his big presentation, which is probably the best part of this story, real quick, comment golden apple down below. I'm going to try and heart as many comments as I can see that say golden apple. Don't take it personally if I don't get to heart your comment. I'm very busy. I got a lot of things going on. And just know, heart or no heart, I do appreciate you. But if you don't want to heart, comment golden apple down below. Anyways, so right. Steven, he walks up in front of everyone with this big kind of confident walk. He gets up there, kind of has this like a little bit of a smile, a little bit of a smirk, kind of just like saying, I know what I'm doing. I got a great presentation. Sit back, like relax, and prepare to be blown away. I mean, like, they were definitely blown away, but maybe not for how good it was. So Steven goes up there and he's like, today I'll have a presentation on how casualties could have been significantly reduced during during the Revolutionary War. And the teacher was like, oh, the teacher actually like started to pay closer attention because this was a very interesting topic. The idea, a lot of people did like, oh, here's historical life that happened back in the day. Here's a very specific battle. Like, it wasn't necessarily not interesting, but it was kind of boring. And then when Steven comes up and says, hey, here's how we could have reduced casualties, like, the teacher starts paying attention because he's like, oh, goddamn, like, this is kind of cool. Like, this is kind of interesting. I want to know how this goes. But the second that Steven starts talking, the teacher just instantly is just like, hey, yep. Anyways, right, Steven's like, all right, so we're going to be talking about how casualties could have been significantly reduced in the, in the Revolutionary War. When packing soldiers, they only have so much space. They can only carry so much, and they have to make a decision. Do they carry more, artillery? Do they carry more weaponry? Do they carry more whatever, right? And he says, it's very strategic of what you choose. And I think that both sides made a strategic mistake by not equipping soldiers with more golden apples. A moment of silence for Steven's grade, please. Thank you. Very respectful. Anyways, right. Brandon looks across the entire class, and everyone's face, who is kind of like, because they were all kind of tuning in because this was an interesting topic, or at least they wanted to hear the payout. They wanted to hear what was the secret sauce to reduce casualties. And when they hear that it was equipping them with golden apples, they were just like, what? And Steven goes on for about another 5 minutes reading out his paper where he goes over, the pros of using golden apples, how they're easy to store, how they regenerate health while they didn't carry anything else that regenerated health. And Steven really questioned why they didn't have any type of regen, not realizing that regen is not a real thing. And by the end of it, he says, thank you guys so much for listening. I hope I changed a mind or two here. And then he, picks up his paper, proudly and confidently walks to where the teacher is, puts his paper down on the pile of papers because you would turn in your paper after you're done reading it, and sits back down. And the teacher doesn't necessarily say anything. The teacher kind of just says, thank you, Steven. That was very interesting. The teacher's not about to humiliate him in front of the entire class because the teacher kind of realizes that everyone else in the class was kind of giving him this look and that, like, they knew that something was up. But anyways, right, Brandon was a little confused that nothing happened to Steven right away, that, like, Steven was kind of in the clear, like, and he was like, wait a minute, is the teacher actually going to let him, like, get away with this? But anyways, a day later, not a day later, actually, probably about a week later, the teacher had finished grading their tests, and they started handing them back. And it just happened to be that Brandon was right behind Steven. So when Steven got his test back, he could see exactly what was on the paper. Yeah, and sure enough, when Brandon saw what Steven got an F in a circle and then "see me after class" written in, like, red pen. Subscribe if you haven't already, drop a like in the video, and then click on one of the 4 videos on screen right now to support the channel. Peace. Today we got a story time of a kid who claims that he saw an Enderman in real life. Leave a like in the video to claim your free nothing, subscribe, and let's jump right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber who sent in today's story, we're going to call him Billy. Anyways, right, one day Billy was in class when this kid ran up to him. We're going to call this kid Brian, and Brian is the Minecraft kid in this story. Brian runs up to him as they're ending class. Brian is completely late that day. The teacher looks at Brian and he's like, Brian, where were you today? And Brian's like, I'm sorry, Mr. Davenport. That's just a name we'll say. I'm sorry, Mr. Davenport. Like, I won't do it again. I won't be late again. And he just goes up to Billy. He's like, Billy, you won't believe what I saw today. And, Billy's just looking at Brian like, dude, calm down. Like, relax. What? Like, what did you see? And Brian just looks at Billy. He's like, Billy, you're not going to believe me, man. You're not going to believe me. And Billy's like, chill out. Just tell me what you saw and we'll figure this out together. And Brian just looks at Billy and he's like, I don't know how to say it, man, but and, Billy looks at him. He's like, dude, just spit it out. Like, you're good. Like, don't worry about it. Like, I'm not going to judge you. I just want to hear what you have to say. Like, I know that you're obviously pretty distressed right now, and there's probably a reason why you're late today. And, eventually Brian's like, fine, you're going to laugh at me, but just listen to me. He's like, Billy? And Billy looks at him. Yes, Brian? Billy? I saw an Enderman today. And Billy just kind of gives him this look of like, bro. For a second, Billy was like, all right, this guy's trying to prank me. Like, he's gone a long way to, like, do this prank. Like, he's late for class. He's, like, putting on a really good act. And then Billy's starting to realize that it's actually more likely that he's not trying to prank him and he just saw something that he thought was an Enderman. And, Brian's like, dude, you have to believe me on this one. And Billy's like, Brian, Endermen aren't real. Why would I believe you? And Brian's like, dude, I saw it. Like, why do you think I'm so freaked out? Why do you think I was late today? And Billy's like, all right, relax. Calm down, chill out, you're good. Like, let's just talk about this rationally. And Brian's like, I don't want to talk about it rationally. You know what? At this point, right, a lot of kids have started to, like, stop because, like, the class was over by the time that Brian came in practically. And kids were leaving the room. However, Brian and Billy were kind of yelling at each other. And so some of the kids were stopping, so they're kind of making a circle around the two. And Brian was like, you know what? Anyone who doesn't believe me, tomorrow I will take you to the spot where I saw the Enderman, and I will prove it to you. I will prove it that he is real. And, Billy's like, all right, like, okay, sure, Brian, that's cool. Yeah, show me this Enderman. Yeah, sure, okay. So Brian then goes on to say, he says, you know what? Actually, today, after school, if you want to see the Enderman with me, wait, don't get picked up by your parents. Tell them you have to wait a little bit longer, and we're going to walk to the park where I saw it, all of us, so that you can bear witness to what I saw. Anyone who doesn't want to come, don't stay after school, but if you do, stay after school. I'll be here to any of you guys who aren't too scared. At this point, right, Billy's like, all right, I got nothing better to do. I'm not trying to do my homework. And, there are definitely some other kids that were going to show up. So Billy's like, you know what? Whatever. I'll spend an hour out of my afternoon. That's fine. So later at lunch, Billy was eating, and sure enough, Brian comes up to him. And in Billy's mind, he's like, all right, so Brian's definitely he's either telling me that he was overreacting, or he's pulling the plug of the prank, which this is obviously a prank. And sure enough, right, Brian comes up to Billy. And, Billy's just looking at him, kind of waiting for whatever response he has, that's coming. And Brian looks at Billy, square in his eyes and says, I just want to make sure you're mentally prepared for what you're about to see later today. And Billy was a little taken aback because he was sure. He was 95% confident that Brian was coming to confess to him that he made the whole thing up and that he doesn't actually want people to wait after school. But no, sure enough, Brian was doubling down on his claims that he actually saw an Enderman and that they're real or whatever. And Billy's like, all right, okay, man, I'm sure. I won't be too scared. Don't worry about me. I'm not the one you need to worry about here. And Brian's like, all right, good. I just, I couldn't, morally rest if I didn't prepare you for what you're about to see. And Billy just kind of gave him this look of all right, dude, sure. Go, fine, all right, challenge accepted, man, okay, that's fine. And sure enough, right after school, Billy's waiting there with about 4 or 5 other kids that, overheard the situation, overheard Brian say stay after school to see the Enderman, and also were in the same boat as Billy as not believing Brian at all, but also having nothing better to do. And, eventually, Brian gets there and he's like, all right, so we got, 5 brave people willing to, see what I saw today. He's like, you guys are going to seem so foolish. Like, you guys are going to just, like, forget. He said, you know what? Don't beg for forgiveness right away. Wait until we leave. Wait until we're safely away from the Enderman. We don't want to, like, I don't know, aggravate it or something. So just, beg for forgiveness later, not when we're there. Please. And Billy just looks at him like, dang, this kid's confident. Like, all right, man. I promise I will not beg for forgiveness there. I got you, bro. I got you on that one. And with that being said, they start to walk towards the park. The Enderman Park or whatever, like Brian was trying to say, right? Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, comment Enderman down below. I'm going to heart a bunch of comments to say Enderman. I can't heart all the comments, but I will do my very best to heart as many as I can. And also, if you want to submit stories like this and be featured on the channel, my Instagram is Connor Pugs. It's in the description if you want to see how that's spelled. Also, feel free to follow me there, even if you're not going to submit a story. I like followers. It makes me look cool. Anyways, right, eventually, Billy, Brian, and the 4 other kids, they're walking over to the park. And Brian is like, all right, real quick, Enderman 101, we got to go over the procedure. Billy just gives him a look like, bro, are you serious? And Brian's like, while I don't know this for a fact, I'm going to assume that Endermen function very similarly in real life to as they function in Minecraft. So whatever you do, and he like stops walking to make this point. Like he stops in his tracks to like to make this point as poignant as possible. Whatever you do, Brian continues, do not look the Enderman in the eyes directly. If you do, they're gonna come and destroy us all. Like we don't have a shot against an Enderman. We're not in diamond armor. We're not in nothing, right? And Billy's just like, once again, he's kind of laughing. He's just like, bro, dude, that's fine. I got you. This Enderman we're gonna see, right? All right, I won't look it in the eyes. Now let's see this Enderman. And Brian's like, all right, I feel like I've prepared you guys, properly for this. Just realize that, if we don't make it back, or if only one of us or a few of us makes it back, we need to tell our respective parents that, the ones that did not make it back love them. And Billy was like, dude, come on. Like, first of all, there's no Enderman. Let's keep it a stack. I don't know what you're going to show us, but there's no Enderman. Second of all, bro, stop being over dramatic here. But anyways, right, Billy's like, all right, man. All right, let's see the Enderman. And Brian's like, all right, moment of truth. This is what you guys have been waiting for. Because they eventually, when he says that, they reach like the gate of the park. And Brian was like, earlier today, yeah, I was supposed to be in class, but I wasn't really feeling it. So I decided to go walk in the park. I just need to clear my mind. And while I was walking, like I saw in the corner of my eye this big, long, dark figure that was buzzing, and it looked like an Enderman, man. I could hear it. I could hear it zipping around. I could feel its presence, and I just got out of there as quickly as possible. And I just ran directly back to school. I mean, it was like a 20-minute run, too, and I got to class late, but I know what I saw, and you're going to see it, too. At this point, like Billy's like, so you didn't even get a good look at it? And Brian turned to him and said, Billy, if I got a good look at it, I wouldn't be standing here right now, because the first rule of Enderman contact is if you stare at it, you're a goner. Did you not hear what I said just a second ago? And Billy's like, all right, Brian, okay, I got you. So eventually they get to the park. Billy, Brian, and the other 4 walk in, and Brian just stops. And he's like visibly very scared. And Billy looks at him, he's like, Brian, what is it now? And Brian's like, I see it. I see it in the corner of my eye. Nobody look. Nobody turn their heads. Don't do it. You'll all perish. And Brian, like, legitimately was very scared at this point. But Billy, you know what? He was like, you know what? I'm going to take the risk. If there's actually an Enderman there, well, that's unlucky for me. But I'm going to make the assumption that there's not. And sure enough, right, Billy turns his head, and what does he see? He sees a tall, lanky, darkish tree. Billy just turns around and he says, Brian, there's no Enderman there. He's like, dude, what did I say about looking? And Billy's like, dude, you can look. He's like, I don't trust you. And Billy is a little like hurt by that. He's like, you don't trust me? Like, I literally just looked there. So Billy put both of his arms on Brian, forcefully turned him around. And Brian was like, ah. And then his like scream was cut short as he realized that there was nothing there but a tree. And Brian was like, oh, my fault. Subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a like in the video, then click on one of the 4 videos you see on screen right now to support the channel. Thank you, peace. Today we go to story time of a Minecraft kid who tries to impress the new girl in class with the fact that he has aliens in his basement. I don't know, man. But anyways, he gets exposed in front of everyone, and it's pretty hilarious. So sit back, relax, leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing, subscribe to the channel, and let's just get right into it. So the subscriber sent in today's story. We're going to call him Brian. I got the name from the comment section down below, so leave a comment of any names you want me to use. Anyways, right, so Brian was telling me about, you know, this new girl who came into class, and we're going to call her Claire. So normally, look, there's always, like, new kids moving in, but it's still a rare enough occasion that it's, like, it's a big deal, especially since Claire didn't come at the beginning of the year. She came, like, 2 months into the fall, I guess, semester or trimester. I don't know what section, like, or what they're on. Right, but they're in 5th grade. Just all the context you need. So anyways, right, on the first day, the teacher says, all right, class, we have a new student. I'd like you to, meet Claire. Claire, is there anything, you'd like to, say, or, do you want to introduce yourself? She's like, yeah, hi, guys, my name's Claire. I'm from insert, originally from insert place very far away. I recently moved here, and, I'm starting here in the school system. Everyone's like, hi, Claire, nice to meet you, whatever. So pretty standard. Claire goes to sit down. And there's also another kid in this class, and we're going to call him Benny. Let's just call him Benny, right? And, while he did play a lot of Minecraft, he was mostly known as, the Minecraft kid because of the same creeper shirt he wore every day. I mean, dude, maybe this kid was like Einstein and had, 6 pairs of the same shirt in, pants to wear every day. But, dude, I'm just going to make the assumption that, man was not running the washing machine every single night. He just kind of came in the same shirt, maybe watched it once a month when it started to, crystallize from the sweat and gamer juice. But whatever, man. Benny, he was an interesting kid. And it wasn't just the sweat crystallized gamer t-shirt he wore every single day. He had quite the personality as well. But I'm going to leave that to the story. Anyways, right, so they were in class. Claire sits down. Benny, Brian, and all the other students were sitting there listening to the teacher go on about something. And finally, right, class ends, and it's lunchtime. And so Brian goes over to sit with his friends. And, he's kind of friends with, a mix of, girls and guys, which I always think is pretty cool. Personally, out of my 5 best friends, 2 of them are girls. So I got, a 40% best friend girl to guy split. I totally love it, dude. Being friends with a different gender, you just get a different experience, and it's really cool. Anyways, though, Brian was friends with girls and guys. So Claire, trying to be outgoing, get to know people, she sat down with this group of people, and she's like, hey, my name's Claire. I mean, you probably know that from me being introduced earlier, but my dad just changed jobs, pretty suddenly, and I'm here now, and I just got enrolled in the system. If you want to tell me about you guys or anything like that. So they start going around. Brian explains, his friends explain who they are, they introduce themselves, and then the kid, Benny, just, was sitting at a different table, gets up with his food, comes over and sits down, which, at first kind of just seems like, he's trying to be cool, he's doing a nice thing, trying to make the new person feel good, I don't know, give them some company. That's a pretty cool thing. Except the way he executes it's a little strange. He sits down, he's like, hi, my name is Benny. Do you want to hear about a secret of mine? And bro, Brian and the other people at the table just look at each other like, oh, dude, you can't be serious, dude. This guy is already on his stuff already. Dude, it's been a couple hours since she got here. At least make her pretend like we're normal, bro. Stop, please, bro. But sure enough, right, Benny's like, do you want to hear my secret? And Claire's just like, okay. And he's like, you're totally not going to believe this, but there are actually aliens in my basement. And Claire's just like, bruh. In her head, she's like, bruh. But then she's like, oh, to be polite. Really? Ha ha ha. And Brian looks at Benny. He's like, dude, what are you talking about? And Benny gives him this look like, bro, stop. Don't blow my cover. He's like, oh, yeah, they're aliens in my basement. I was checking this morning, and I found some aliens down there. Pretty crazy. And, bro, Brian and all the other people at the table were just looking at him with, wide mouths, just like, what is this kid on? And Claire, who's trying to be polite, part of her thinks like, oh, maybe this kid's trying to prank me or something, or maybe he's just full of it. Well, option 2 is probably the one. But she's like, oh, isn't that nice? And then Benny, instead of just like leaving it there, is like, if I can prove I have aliens in my basement, will you go on a date with me? At this point, right, Brian and all the other kids are just like, bro, shut up. At this point, right, Claire just kind of sits there like, what is going on? And Brian says, all right, like, Benny, let's not ask these questions. That's very weird and strange. And Benny's like, I think you're just a hater who doesn't believe in the aliens. And Ben, you know what? Brian's like, yeah, actually, I don't believe in the aliens. And at this point, right, Benny's like, oh, I got to defend myself. He's like, you want to make a bet? You want to make a bet on the aliens? And Brian's like, I'll make a bet with you on if there's actually aliens in your basement. Sure thing, yeah. Benny's like, prepare to lose. How much money do you want to lose? And Brian's like, how much money do I want to win? Let's put $5 down. Look, this is 5th grade. You might not be thinking like $5, whatever, right? I mean, $5, you can get a pretty nice like Subway sandwich with that. But anyways, right, $5. It was a big deal back then too, even bigger than it might be now. So, Brian was like, all right, sure. Yeah, $5. And Benny's like, all right, fine, $5. And Claire's just sitting there like, bro, you got to be kidding me. And Brian's like, all right, well, let's see some proof. And Benny's like, all right, we'll be here tomorrow and I'll come with some proof. And Brian's like, all right, well, we all at the table have to agree that it's actually proof. And Benny is like, you guys will be so shocked. There's no way you can prove otherwise, so I accept. And Brian's like, all right, bet. Quick $5. And in Brian's head, he's like, all right, quick $5. Got Claire out of this awkward situation. I'm just straight up winning today. There's no question about it. So Benny goes on to say, all right, guys, we'll just be here tomorrow at lunch, and I'll show you indisputable proof. Make sure to bring the $5. Brian's just like, all right, bro, I'll be here at lunch. Sure thing. And Benny's like, fine, see you then. And he gets up and leaves. And Brian immediately turns to Claire. He's like, I'm so sorry. He does not represent us, man. Like, we're all normal. I'm sorry he said that weird thing and then proceeded to ask you on a date. Like, that must have been super uncomfortable. And Claire was like, a little, but it was also kind of funny. And, Brian's like, you don't have to sit here tomorrow. We won't take it personally because we know he's coming back. And Claire's like, nah, dude, what are you talking about? I want to see these alien photos. So Brian immediately knew, like, Claire was super fun. Like, she was going to be chill. She's going to fit in just fine. And Brian's like, all right, like, just be prepared. He probably is going to have something up his sleeve, and let's just hope it's not directed at you again. And she's like, all right, I can take it. Like, to see the quote-unquote alien photos, I'll do anything to see that. So anyways, right, the next day rolls around. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, comment alien down below. I'm going to try and drop some hearts on these comments to say that I appreciate you guys watching, because if you watch videos like more than halfway through, it really helps me out. And if you don't get a heart, I'm just really busy, and I still appreciate you either way. Anyways, right, next day rolls around. And Brian and his friends, as soon as they get out of class, like, they're waiting in class with like 5 minutes left on the clock, and they just can't wait, man, because they're just excited to see what Benny brings in and how it's going to be. Like, he's going to get clowned on so bad for bringing in something that is going to prove that there's aliens in his basement, right? Yeah, hey, man, we all know that's going to be cap. But anyways, the bell rings, and Brian's like, let's go, boys. And all of Brian's friends come up, and like, they all start walking over. And, Brian goes up to Claire, and he's like, are you ready? And she's like, dude, I'm so ready for this. So they go over to the table, right? They sit down, and they're waiting for Benny. And, dude, Benny doesn't show for like 5 minutes, and they only have like 30 minutes to get lunch. Bro, I'm not sure if it was just me, but for some reason, my middle school, my high school, they never gave you enough time to eat. I'm trying to digest. I'm not trying to feel sick after lunch because I get like 3 minutes to pummel down my food. Bro, chill out. I'll have plenty of time to study, whatever, right? So they're sitting there, and they're just like, where's the kid? Is he not going to show up? Is he just not going to eat? Like, what's the deal here? Anyways, right, so they're sitting there, and they're waiting, and eventually, Benny, they see Benny, and they're like, oh my God, finally, the kid's here. So Benny sits down, and Benny just has this smile on his face. And for a second, Brian's like, All right, well, I know for a fact that there's no aliens in his basement, but what if he is like proof that I can't dispute? Even if it's not real, like what if I can't dispute it? I really don't want to give this guy $5 because he just said I had to convince him like that, or I can't prove it wrong. So Brian was a little nervous for a second, and Benny's like, all right, I'm glad you've all gathered around. Finally, you guys will see the indisputable proof that there are aliens in my basement. And I shall receive $5 from Brian and a date from Claire. And Brian's like, hey, yo, that was not part of the deal. And Claire's like, all right, that's fine. And Brian kind of was taken aback for a second because he's like, in his head, he's like, dude, I know you don't want to go out on a date with this kid. And I know you're just putting it in because it's like funny and you think that there's no chance. But what if he has good Photoshop skills? You don't know this. But anyways, right? Benny's like, all right. Pulls out his phone. He's like, look at this and weep. Or get super scared because that's how I'd react to aliens personally. And sure enough, like they take the phone and they all look at it. And as they're all looking at the photo, Brian, Claire, and his friends all burst out laughing. And right, Benny's taken aback. He's like, why are you laughing? And Brian, trying to like get his words out in between his wheezes, is like, bro, did you not think any of us ever saw the movie Alien before? Alien was a pretty popular like alien movie. And Benny just looks so embarrassed at this moment because, like, bro really came into lunch with his definitive proof being a screenshot from the Alien movie trailer. That was his definitive proof. I'm not even kidding. And so Benny gets up all embarrassed and, like, grabs his phone and gets up and walks away from the table. And Claire, like, turns to Brian and is like, dude, you're not going to get your $5 because Benny didn't give him the $5. And they're assuming that at this point he's too mad to. And Brian's just like, bro, at this point, like, I already won. This is my victory. This is my prize right here. This moment is my celebration. Subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a like in the video, and then if you want to support the channel, click on one of the 4 videos on screen or watch another one of my videos. Thank you. Today we get a story of a Minecraft kid that gets angry at his teacher, so decides that, his revenge will be farting in the teacher's face and then going completely insane. This is probably one of the weirdest stories I have ever received, so sit back, relax, subscribe if you like stories, and let's call today's subscriber Noah. So this all happens one day when Noah is just chilling in his class, and there's another guy in his class, and we're gonna call this guy the Minecraft kid because he's obsessed with Minecraft. He's always wearing the creeper hoodie. You already know how it goes. And obviously, right, if you like Minecraft, this video is not against you because, bro, I love Minecraft. Look at the background gameplay. But anyways, right, so Noah was just chilling in class. And he looks to, like, his left, and directly, like, to the next of him, directly adjacent to him, is the Minecraft kid. And him and the Minecraft kid weren't like best friends or anything, but he had nothing necessarily against the Minecraft kid. And the teacher was beginning the lecture on whatever it was, and he sees the Minecraft kid, he had his computer out because everyone had their computers out. It was like 6th grade, and that was like the first time that like, they were given school computers or whatever, or Chromebooks, or I don't even know. He had his computer out though. And like you could have your school given Chromebook or school issued Chromebook, or you could bring your own computer. So the Minecraft kid, brought his gaming computer. And the difference with today and any other day is Noah looked over and saw the Minecraft kid reach into his backpack, pull out a mouse pad and a gaming mouse. One of those like gaming mice that like all light up and glow and all that stuff? Yeah, he whipped out one of those. And at first Noah's like, oh, he just wants to use a mouse instead of the trackpad. Like, that's totally understandable. Trackpad sucks. I 100% agree. And anyways, right, Noah doesn't even really pay that much attention. And that is until he hears the Minecraft soundtrack. Super, super, super loud. Minecraft soundtrack is beautiful. I've actually like gone to sleep to it a couple of times on Spotify, but that's beyond the point, right? Anyways, right, so Noah is like, he realizes that the Minecraft kid next to him is not only like not really caring that, he has his entire gaming setup out, he also just doesn't care that Minecraft music is blasting away. And sure enough, right, you hear the Minecraft soundtrack, you hear the walking footsteps in Minecraft, you hear him beating up some chicken and the chicken making like squeaking noises or whatever. And so Noah's just like, oh my God, like this kid's gonna get in a ton of trouble. But sure enough, right, the music was just so loud that the teacher like turns around and like looks at like the Minecraft kid and is like, Minecraft kid, Like, turn down that music. Like, you can't be playing music in class. So the teacher didn't realize that this was just like music to a video game. The teacher just thought that the Minecraft kid was playing like music in class, which, you know, sometimes kids have like tried to like listen to music, but normally they'd use headphones or whatever. And the teacher says, hey, no listening to music in class, you gotta be paying attention. So the teacher kind of doesn't think anything more of it and goes back to their work. And so the Minecraft kid, sure enough, just turns off the volume, but keeps on playing Minecraft. And it's super obvious because he's like whipping his like mouse around and like clicking really fast and doing all this stuff. And obviously, if the teacher paid like really close attention, he would realize that the Minecraft kid was not just listening to music, but was not listening to music at all, but instead was playing a video game with music in the background. So anyways, right, Noah's like, dude, this kid's gonna get caught. And sure enough, right, you know, the Minecraft kid, I think in the beginning was playing like normal Minecraft, but then he goes on to one of those servers. I think he's playing Bed Wars or something. And this kid is like really good at Bed Wars. And when you're really good at Bed Wars, a lot of times you'll be clicking super fast so that you can place more blocks. Or maybe when you're fighting someone, you take less knockback and you might get more hits. So this kid starts butterfly clicking, which is when you take two fingers and rapidly slam your mouse with it. And sure enough, right, the kid in the middle of class starts spamming his mouse like, and Noah was just like, dude, that's so loud. And sure enough, the teacher turns around and is like, hey, Minecraft kid, are you playing video games in class? And the Minecraft kid legitimately keeps on clicking because apparently he's in the middle of like a fight or something, like a PvP fight, and keeps on clicking, ignores the teacher for a good 10 seconds. The teacher looks at him in disbelief, and the Minecraft kid looks up and is like, huh? And the teacher's like, shut off your computer. You're not allowed to be playing video games in class. First you're listening to music, now you're playing video games. Like, that's super disrespectful and distracting. You're not just distracting yourself, you're distracting everyone else in the class, and that is totally not fair for them. And he said, and then the teacher followed up by saying, Minecraft kid, you're on super thin ice. Turn off like your video game. So the Minecraft kid is like, whatever, man. And like, you know, closes the computer, like closes the computer screen, whatever, and kind of like slumps back in his chair with his arms crossed because, man, he just, you know, he wanted to play Minecraft. He didn't want to pay attention to whatever was going on in class, right? So at this point, Noah thinks that the Minecraft kid is done being stupid in class, but Noah was very, very wrong to say the least. Because anyways, right, Noah kind of goes back to paying attention to the class, you know, trying to like take some notes. He's trying to do well in this class. And then Noah, to his surprise, hears clicking noises. And he's like, all right, there's no chance that like the Minecraft kid is back to playing his video games. But sure enough, the Minecraft kid had taken out his computer again and went back to playing Bed Wars. And once again, he's on his mouse going like clicking it literally as fast as he possibly could. And that he's not being slick. He's not being like anything like, he's not being clever or anything like that. Because the teacher immediately turns around and is like, Minecraft kid, I told you, like, you can't be playing video games in class. I already told you you were on super thin ice. Like, that's it. If you can't like pay attention and you're going to be distracting everyone else, then you can't be in this class. Go to the principal's office and she'll deal with you. And the Minecraft kid just looks at him and says, what did you say to me? And the teacher's like, no back talk. Go to the principal's office now. And from here on, things were about to get much, much worse. But real quick, comment Minecraft down below if you want to harden your comment, as Minecraft is the secret word of the day. And by the way, if you've been binge watching my videos, please leave a comment like this down below so I can heart it, maybe reply, just so I can know that you're doing it and say thank you. Because when you watch a bunch of my videos in a row, it really does help out the channel more than you can even imagine. And I mean, also, if you want to be like this guy, I'm not saying to leave a playlist of my videos on overnight when you go to sleep with the volume on 1%, but I'm also not saying not to do that. Wink. Wink, 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 nod, smile. Anyways, back to the story. This is where it gets crazy. So at this point, the teacher has told the Minecraft kid that, you know, he needs to go to the principal's office right now. And the Minecraft kid is not happy about this at all. And so sure enough, you know, the teacher, let me just paint the picture for you guys. The teacher is sitting down at their desk, at their chair, whatever, right? And the Minecraft kid walks up to go to like the door to leave the class, presumably, right? Because he has to go to the principal's and whatever, right? So he walks up to the front of the class. At this point, everyone has kind of been paying attention. Noah's like, wow, like this kid, whatever. I mean, the punishment fits the crime. If you're being an idiot, like play stupid games, expect stupid consequences, like it is, or expect stupid prizes. That's the actual phrase. My fault. But anyways, right, the Minecraft kid does something absolutely crazy because he walks up to the front of the class and he slows down as soon as he gets to his teacher. And the teacher's like, keep moving. Principal's office is that way. And as soon as the teacher says, keep moving, the principal office is that way, the Minecraft kid runs over to the teacher. And the teacher, remember, is sitting down at a pretty low desk / chair. And the Minecraft kid stands, like, whips out a chair, puts it down in front of the teacher. And the teacher is in the middle saying, hey. And the Minecraft kid steps on the chair, turns around, and rips the biggest fart you've ever heard in the teacher's face. Like, this is the most ridiculous thing Noah has ever seen in his life. And in Noah's head, he was like, huh? What? Huh? And the teacher was just as shocked. The teacher's just like in a state of disbelief, also a state of like stink, because like, man, the Minecraft kid was eating like mega like I don't know, he was eating like premium beans for the last 7 months before doing this fart, bro. I swear to God. Like Noah said he could like legit like smell it from being like 20 feet away. And the teacher's like, oh God. And then the Minecraft kid's like, yeah, and then runs away. So the teacher is now steaming mad because he's got this big old fart that was just like landed in his face. This kid is destroying his entire class. So now the Minecraft kid is like, catch me if you can, and starts running around the class. And the teacher is so mad right now. Like the teacher is so angry. So the teacher starts sprinting after the kid. And the Minecraft kid is like, it just starts like running around the class, pushing over chairs to make it harder for the teacher to get. And the teacher's like, that's it. You're gonna be suspended for so long. You'll be lucky if you don't get expelled. I'm calling up your parents and I'm writing a full report. And Noah and everyone else in that class was just sitting there with their mouths dropped their mouths dropped open to the floor. They were just like, what is going on? Like, oh my God. Like, I knew this kid was a little weird, but seriously, what is going on right now? And so the Minecraft kid is sprinting around the class, kind of doing like, so, like in football where you kind of like psych them out and then you go the other way. And the teacher is kind of lumbering around like, every second that you're running, everything that you're pushing over, every like millisecond that you're not like obeying me and going to the principal's office, your punishment is increasing by 100%, which really doesn't make a lot of sense because there's a cap. Like you can't really punish someone beyond expelling them. So what's like 300,000% beyond expelled? I don't really know. You tell me. So anyways, right, the Minecraft kid's like, and then eventually, right, the Minecraft kid accidentally like trips on something. The Minecraft kid falls, and at this point, the teacher has made up enough ground to grab the Minecraft kid by the scruff of his creeper hoodie, and it's like, you are coming with me. And the entire class is so silent as this is the most ridiculous thing they have ever seen in their life. And Noah is just like, oh my God, do I have a story to tell my mom? So anyways, the Minecraft kid is being dragged out by his creeper hoodie and all 4 legs are flailing. He's like, no. And then like the teacher goes out the door, slams it shut. The entire class is silent. No one's mumbling. You would have thought that people would have been like, wow, that was crazy, guys. I wonder what's... No. Nope. It was dead silent. Nobody uttered a word. And because of the silence, they were able to hear very clearly the teacher yell, hey, get back here. And within about 20 seconds of them hearing the teacher yell that, they once again see the class door slam open, and the Minecraft kid, with his hair all messed up and his clothes all kind of like ripped up a little bit, runs into the classroom, slams the door shut, and then locks it, because for some reason this door locks from the inside, which actually I guess that does make sense, but he locks it from the inside. You didn't need a key, you just need to press something. And the Minecraft kid goes over to the teacher's desk after locking the door, literally takes his foot and kicks off everything, including like a $500 Chromebook, right? That kind of breaks on the floor. All the books fall over. The teacher's coffee mug flies off the desk and like smashes on the floor. And the Minecraft kid steps on the teacher's chair and then steps on the desk and is like, attention! I mean, dude, he didn't really need to say attention to get their attention, because literally everyone was paying attention to this guy at this point. The Minecraft kid goes on to declare himself as the ruler of the class, and that he is now the dictator and they must do what he says. And everyone in the class is just like completely silent, because they're just so shocked by the chain of events that just happened. And the Minecraft kid says, now, as ruler of the class, you must refer to me as Lord. You will not call me by my name. Let's call him Joseph. You will not call me by my name, Joseph. You will only call me by Lord. And everyone in the class is just like, huh? This is bit like, they're just like, what happened in the last 7 minutes of this class? How did we get from learning about the quadratic equation to this, to having a kid like fart in the teacher's face, run away from them, close the door, slam all their stuff off the desk, and declare himself ruler of the class? How did we get here? So anyways, right, they're basically held hostage by the Minecraft kid, because, sure enough, like, people come to the door, they're slamming on it, they're like, hey, let us in, and the Minecraft kid's like, nobody go to that door, like, nobody dare do it. And one kid is like, hey, like, I gotta go to the bathroom, because at this point, they were kind of like accepting that the Minecraft kid was the de facto ruler, at least for the next like 10 minutes or so. And, the Minecraft kid's like, no, that's treacherous. You just want to let them in. And the kid's like, dude, no, like, I really gotta pee. And the Minecraft kid's like, that's too bad. You should have thought of that before I took over. And the kid's like, bro, like, how would I have known that any of this nonsense was going to happen? The Minecraft kid is like, too bad, so sad. So at this point, Joseph was sitting in, or Noah, not Joseph, sorry, that's the name I gave the Minecraft kid. At this point, Noah was sitting in class, and he was getting he was getting pretty upset. He just didn't want to deal with, the Minecraft kid anymore. He was like, this kid is a menace, he's totally insane. The thing is, Noah's actually trying to pay attention in class. Like, Noah is trying to, get his grade back, because he was struggling on the first couple tests, so he was really committing to learning the material. And he was getting kind of angry that he was kind of being robbed of this experience. As funny as he thought it was, he really didn't want to have to deal with this much longer. So Noah was thinking to himself, all right, there are most likely security guards at the door, if not some kind of adult that can help us in this situation. Because for the last couple of minutes or so, people have been slamming on the door, let us in, Minecraft kid, or Joseph, let us in, Joseph. Like, you gotta let us in, man. Your punishment will be worse. Or it will be your punishment will be worse the longer this is. And so, at this point, Noah is like, all right, I think I'm just going to make a dash for it. But I got to cover it up so this crazy kid doesn't, fart attack me or something. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't want freaking pink eye, bro. That's disgusting. So Noah's like, hey, do you mind if I sharpen my pencil? And the Minecraft kid's not the brightest man ever. So he's like, sure, peasant, go ahead. And then he's like, wait. No. And then Noah's like, dude, what? He's like, ask me again, but you must refer to me as Lord. And Noah in his head is like, all right, this kid freaking sucks, but I'm about to ruin him. So yeah, whatever he wants for his next 30 seconds of rulership. So he's like, my lord, do you mind if I sharpen my pencil? And the Minecraft kid is like, fine, peasant, go ahead. And the Minecraft kid is sitting on the desk, and he's kind of made it like a king, a king throne in a sense. And everyone is kind of whispering to each other, going on their phones, trying to contact people. But sure enough, right, Noah kind of walks up and is very calmly walking towards the pencil sharpener, which was on the other side of the room as the door. It was towards the front of the room, which means he didn't have to do a massive sprint, but it was kind of on the other side. So he's walking very slowly to the pencil sharpener, and that's when he's able to look out the door, and sure enough, there are like, he sees the outlines of two pretty big guys, and he's like, all right, these are the security officers. And, as the Minecraft kid is like disciplining someone, being like, no, you must refer to me as Lord, because they asked a question or something, that no one realized that that was his moment. That was his opportunity. So he changes direction incredibly quickly, sprints towards the door, and the Minecraft kid is like, peasant, what are you doing? And at that point, Noah goes to the door, quickly unlocks it, opens it up, steps aside, and two big security guards run into the room, and they just grab the Minecraft kid. And the Minecraft kid's like, no, my peasants, fight for me. I have been a great ruler. I've been a great king. No. And he's dragged out. And at this point, right, the teacher returns to the classroom, completely out of breath. Her hair is all frizzed up. And she's just like, class, I don't think I have it in me to finish the class today. I will allow you guys to have recess or a break period. I will have to monitor you guys, but please don't ask me to do anything. I don't have the energy or willpower right now. And the entire class was very understanding, as this, when you go to teacher school, when you take the final exam for being a teacher, there's no final trick question of what do you do if a Minecraft kid farts in your face and then literally starts a coup and takes control of your classroom. That's not on the final exam. That's not in the job description. So everyone was they're pretty forgiving. What ends up happening, however, is the teacher doesn't monitor them. The teacher just gets another person to watch after them, because the teacher's actually going to the hospital because her eyes and her entire face were feeling weird. What ended up happening was both the teacher ended up getting had to go to the hospital and got pink eye, a very severe case, and got an eye infection. She's totally fine now, apparently, but when the Minecraft kid farted in her face, all these gross, disgusting germs got in there, and it could have been really bad. And because of all the nonsense that the Minecraft kid was doing, he was suspended for 2 entire weeks. Honestly, he's lucky that he didn't get expelled, but he was also afterwards, after those 2 weeks were up, he was invited back to the classroom, and he had to also during those 2 weeks write a paper saying why what he did was wrong and apologize to everyone, and he was forced to read that in front of the entire class. And Noah tells me that it was probably the most awkward experience.
Click on the video on
life.
Screen right now. I know you'll enjoy it. Just click it, do it.
Today we got a story of this crazy Minecraft girl that ends up attacking the subscriber. I'm sure you guys will enjoy it, so subscribe if you like stories. And let's call today's subscriber, let's call him Hudson. So the subscriber who sent in this story, we're calling him Hudson, and Hudson got a new girlfriend. And Hudson and this new girlfriend had been dating for probably about a month at this time, and Hudson had never been over to his girlfriend's house. Hudson's girlfriend knew about him and was totally fine with it. And, I think the reason that they just never saw each other at each other's houses is they were just kind of busy for the last, month or so. But one weekend, right, Hudson's girlfriend is like, hey, do you want to come over? So this was, tomorrow. So this was, a Friday, right? So she's like, hey, do you want to come over Saturday? Do you want to just, hang out for the entire day? And, Hudson was like, yeah, sure. Is this at your house? And the girlfriend's like, yeah, I talked to my parents. They're totally okay. In fact, they're going to be away. So the only person who's going to be in the house is going to be you and me and my little sister, but she'll probably just be playing Minecraft with her friends or whatever. She'll be in her room the whole time. So it's really going to be just you and me in the house alone. And Hudson was really excited because this is his new girlfriend or whatever, and this is a pretty big deal. So anyways, right, sure enough, Hudson is driven over by his mom to, his new girlfriend's house, and his mom's like, bye, honey, have a good time. Don't have too good of a time. Wink, wink. Hudson's like, Mom, shut up. I don't want to hear that. She's like, ha, 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 ha. Well, typical mom behavior. You love to see it. But anyways, right, so Hudson walks up to the door. His new girlfriend greets him at it and says, oh, this is the first time we're actually seeing each other at each other's houses. And, Hudson was like, yeah, I'm pretty hyped. So she's like, all right, come in. I have lunch prepared. And, Hudson was like, damn, you have lunch prepared? All right, let's go. Yeah, she made some mac and cheese. You'll love to see it. So, Hudson sat down at the dinner table, got a bowl of mac and cheese, was just talking with his girlfriend. This seemed like it was going to be the greatest day ever, right? However, there was a bit of a complication that happened a little bit later on, as you can probably tell by the title. The sister Hudson's girlfriend's sister. We're going to call the Minecraft girl from here on out. So if you hear me say Minecraft girl, what I'm saying is Hudson's girlfriend's sister. It's just a lot cleaner, and I'm not going to trip up over my words as I always do, so yeah. So as Hudson and his girlfriend are sitting at like the kitchen table just talking or whatever, they hear footsteps come down the stairs, and, Hudson looks over, and it's this girl who's probably about, like, I don't know, like, Hudson and his girlfriend are both 16. This girl is probably 13 or 14 or something like that. She walks down the stairs in these, like, knee-high socks, this, like, sweatshirt or whatever, and this, like, creeper hat or whatever, and she walks down, and she just gives Hudson this look. This look of, like, I don't know who you are, but you better stay away from my sister type look of, like, I don't like you, I won't ever like you, and you gotta, like, watch yourself type look. So Hudson's girlfriend's like, oh, Hudson, this is my sister, like, Minecraft girl, says her actual name or whatever, right? And Hudson's like, oh, Minecraft girl, it's nice to meet you, and the Minecraft girl kind of looks at him and is like, hi. It kind of just, like, gives him this kind of look of, like, I don't like you, bro. And, Hudson's girlfriend was like, okay, that's enough of an introduction for you two. And sure enough, right, the Minecraft world really just comes down to, like, get something to eat and goes straight back upstairs. And Hudson, after she is obviously, like, left and has gone back up to her room, Hudson turns to his girlfriend and is like, hey, like, does she normally, like, not like people, like, that come over? And, Hudson's girlfriend's like, I don't think she's, like, super... It takes a while. Like, she's great, but it takes a while for, like, new people to get used to her, and for the other vice versa as well. Don't worry, like, don't judge a first interaction with her as as who she really is. You just need to thaw to her. Like, she needs to get used to you. Which, she was about to get used to him very quickly, but in the worst way possible. Because let's flash forward, like, half an hour or so. So Hudson and his girlfriend are like, all right, well, we can go watch TV. So they go sit on the couch, and they're watching some Netflix program or whatever. And at some point, Hudson's girlfriend's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. Like, don't go anywhere. And Hudson's like, all right, I got you. So Hudson kind of, like, goes on his phone because the Netflix program is paused or whatever, and he's just paying attention to his phone, so he doesn't hear the footsteps come up, like, very quietly behind him. And the only time, he only realizes that someone is behind him when he feels a whap on the back of his head. He's like, ow! And he turns around, and he sees the Minecraft girl, aka Hudson's girlfriend's little sister, with one of those foam Minecraft pickaxes. And he realizes pretty quickly that she just, like, hit him over the head with the Minecraft pickaxe. And then once again, bats him over the head, and is like, you better stay away from my sister. So then all of a sudden, both, the Minecraft girl and Hudson hear, a toilet flush, and then, kind of like, when you rinse your hand, like, water's running or whatever in the sink, right? So both of them hear that, and the Minecraft girl is like, you heard me, like, stay away from my sister. Gets up and runs away. Runs back upstairs to her bed wars or whatever, right? And so Hudson's kind of sitting there like, okay, I'm not sure how to react to that. And Hudson's girlfriend sits down. She's like, what? And Hudson's like, and she's like, your face, like, what's wrong? Because, like, Hudson's girlfriend could kind of read him like a book at this point. They were good for each other, bro. But Hudson was like, yeah, so it's not a big deal, but, like, I was sitting here, and I felt like something hit me in the back of my head. It didn't hurt that much, obviously, but I turned around, and it was your little sister, and then she hit me in the head again with that little foam pickaxe, like, from Minecraft. It's not a big deal. It obviously didn't hurt. But then she said, stay away from my sister. So, Hudson's girlfriend is like, that's it. Like, you stay right here again. And Hudson sits there as he hears, his girlfriend walk up and starts, like, talking very loudly to, like, presumably the Minecraft girl. And he can't really make out what's being said, but you can assume that, like, don't treat, like, my boyfriend like that. I get that he's new here and that you don't know him. And even if you're trying to be protective, stop it. It's just weirding him out, like, thank you for wanting the best for me, but not like this, yada, yada, go, stuff like that. So the girlfriend comes back down, is like, sorry, like, that should be dealt with. Like, if you see her again, she's going to be chill. So Hudson's like, all right, cool. A little spoiler alert for you guys. She is the opposite of chill from this point on. Real quick, comment a Minecraft down below if you want to heart in your comment. That will be the secret word of the day, and I'll try and heart as many of those comments as I possibly can. And also, if you do want to support the channel, binge watch some videos, either watch some playlists or click on videos in the recommended. And please, if you're doing this, leave me a comment down below like these people so that I can say thank you by hearting it or maybe replying by saying thank you, because that supports the channel so much. Anyways, back to the story. So anyways, right, Hudson's girlfriend's parents are going to be out for probably the entire night, or at least that's what Hudson's girlfriend said. So she decides that she's going to make dinner, and Hudson's like, oh, cool, awesome. And so Hudson's girlfriend makes the dinner, and, eventually he's like calls down her sister and calls in the boyfriend, like, all right, guys, dinner's ready. So, Hudson, walks over to the dining room and, sits down, and, the girlfriend sits down, and also the little sister, aka the Minecraft girl, sits down, and she's like being super awkward, making no eye contact at all with, Hudson, kind of understandably, right? And all of a sudden, right, Hudson's girlfriend's like, hey, I want to go show you something. And she looks at the Minecraft girl and is like, all right, we'll be right back. And I don't know, I wasn't told exactly. By the way, this story was submitted over on Instagram. Go follow me on there. It's in the description, and submit your stories there. But anyways, right, I wasn't told exactly what the girlfriend told Hudson. But anyways, they come back, and Hudson realizes that, the little sister, aka the Minecraft girl's face, goes from a face of like, I don't know, like, I'm feeling very weird, like, this is awkward, to a face of, like, evil. Like, she has an evil grin on her face. So right away, Hudson is like, all right, bro, this is a little weird, this is a little strange, I don't know how I feel about this. And he sits down, and he's just, like, goes to take a big chug of water. And he takes a big chug of water, and immediately, like, spits it out. And the girlfriend's like, are you okay? And he's like, wow, this water is so salty. So the girlfriend grabs his water glass, sticks her finger in it, kind of like licks her finger, and looks immediately at her little sister, and is like, did you do this? And the little sister is like, yeah, stay away from my big sister, and while looking at Hudson. And sure enough, right, the Hudson's girlfriend starts yelling at the little sister, like, I already told you to stop being, like, weird. I already told you that, like, we're, like, great for each other, and just, like, you don't have to like him, but don't be weird about it. Like, it was strange already enough that you bopped him over the head with, like, a foam pickaxe, right? But now you're trying to make his food taste bad. Like, either way, like, if we're breaking up, it's not because of you. And, like, if anything, like, we have a stronger bond now, even if that wasn't true. She just said it, right? And she's like, you know what? Go up to your room. And the Minecraft girl's like, you know what? Like, you don't have any authority over me. And the old Hudson's girlfriend is like, I don't necessarily, but I'm going to, like, do you really still want to be here when we're both very mad at you? And the girl's like, fine, whatever, I'm going to go play Bed Wars anyways. So the girl goes upstairs, and Hudson turns to, like, his girlfriend, is like, hey, I feel kind of bad, like, I want to be on at least okay terms with your sister. Obviously, like, just you going over there wasn't enough. Maybe I should go up and, like, talk to her. And Hudson's girlfriend looks at him very longingly, like, you're so nice, you're so sweet, like, that's so kind of you, like, she really doesn't deserve it after what you've done, or not after what you've done, after what she's done, but just know that she's a little strange sometimes, and she really doesn't like new people. And I guess I've never had a boyfriend before, or at least I've never had one come over, so I don't know how she's going to react. And Hudson's like, you know what, I got it, don't even worry about it, I just want to be on good terms. This was a big mistake for Hudson, let me just say. Well, anyways, right, Hudson, finishes up his meal, looks at his girlfriend and says, hey, I'll be back in like 10 minutes, I just want to go talk. And she's like, all right, fine, but please don't get mad at me if things go wrong. And Hudson's like, of course not, like, I don't blame you at all for any of this. And she's like, all right, good. Thank you so much. You're such a kind soul. You got a big heart, like, for doing this. And Hudson's like, all right, man. So, Hudson walks upstairs, and he knocks on the door a little bit. He's like, hey, can we just talk for a second? Like, I'm not mad or anything. I just want to, like, get to know you a little bit. I want to let you know that I'm not, like, some evil stranger or whatever, and that I'm not some, like, I don't know, some Brad type that's just gonna, like, play your sister or whatever. By the way, I know some cool Brads. It's just a stereotype, bro. And if you're a Brad watching this, you're the good Brad, right? You're not the bad Brad that I'm referring to. But anyways, right, so he knocks on the door, and he's like, can you let me in? Like, we don't have to talk for long. It can just be for a minute or whatever. And he hears some, like, scuffling around, right? And he's like, okay, well, there's definitely someone in there. And he's like, if you don't want me to, like, if you don't want me to come in, just let me know, right? And he said, all right, well, I hear that you're in there, so just say, don't come in if you want me to not come in. And no response, right? So he's like, all right, well, I'm coming in because I really do want to talk, right? So anyways, Hudson starts opening the door, slowly opens it up, and what is in front of the room is bunch of like all these like clothes all over the place. There's like a whole big gaming setup with the light up mouse, the light up keyboard. It seemed to be in the middle of like just like sitting in the Hypixel lobby. Like it seemed like she was on like a game or whatever and just like quit to the hub and was just sitting there. Dude, okay, don't take that out of context. In Hypixel, like the Minecraft thing that I'm playing right now, there's something called the hub, which is just like the place where all the games are. It's not what you dirty people think. Oh my god. Anyways, right. So he just notices like, oh, well, she's not in here, but I heard her. And like mid-thought, right, because the door is open and he's scanned the entire room, he hears something from behind the door. So he turns around and he looks behind the door, and the Minecraft girl jumps out from behind the door and goes, rah! Literally tackles this guy. And here's the thing. Hudson wasn't like a massive football player or something that was like a really big dude or whatever, but he also was like significantly older by a couple years than this girl. However, the fact that he wasn't expecting this and like kind of the element of surprise, like he got fumbled by this girl. He fell over. Like this girl knocked him over, dude. So he's like on the floor and like the girlfriend hears all this commotion. Is like, "Oh my god, like what's going on?" And the Minecraft girl has the pickaxe in her hand and starts going bop 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 bop. Starts bopping like Hudson in the face, being like, "Stay away from," and every single like word is another bop with the Minecraft pickaxe. So stay away from my sister, you weird. Oh, and Hudson's like, stop. Like, I just wanted to talk to you to prove that I wasn't weird. Like, who's being the weirdo here? Like, me or the girl that literally lured me into her room to attack me with a Minecraft pickaxe? Like, who's being the weird one here, dude? But anyways, right, Hudson's girlfriend walks up the stairs like, oh my god, what is going on here? And, the Minecraft girl is like, I'm, like, defending you from this weirdo freak. Like, he wanted to talk to me. Ha ha ha. Little did he know that I was, like, hiding, waiting for him to come. Like, I pounced on him. I'm attacking him right now. So Hudson's girlfriend kind of, like, grabs, like, the Minecraft girl and rips her off of Hudson. And Hudson gets up like, whoa, okay.